Welcome to my channel. In my channel, you can watch various type of fiction and fantasy audiobook. If you want more video like this, please subscribe my channel.
American Comics, King of Slacking Off. Starting with Maru. Part 2. Activated limited time lottery reward. Good heavens, brother system, are you still the arrogant one you used to be? During this period, the daily 10 pull has completely made me recognize the ruthless face of brother system. It really just randomly explodes with skills. This probability is comparable to a certain Pinduoduo, it's just missing asking someone to help cut the price. Host, Yu Xian. Pleasure points, 312,010. Abilities, Gold, Shinigami Series Maru 3-star JoJo Series Stand Ability, Star Platinum 1-star Marvel Series Wolverine Regeneration. Purple, One Piece Series Whisper Fruit 1-star One Piece Series Dango Fruit 1-star Fairy Tail Series Ice Make Magic 1-star. White Fragments 45, Blue Fragments 49, Purple Fragments 3. Over 300,000 pleasure points, not bad. Yu Xian looked at the numbers on the panel and was quite satisfied. During this time, whether it was saving Tony Stark or pitting Obadiah Stane, running around back and forth, it was finally not in vain. What made Yu Xian especially happy was that because he witnessed the success of Iron Man, the system activated a limited time lottery reward. Within 3,000 pulls, you are guaranteed to obtain a specified gold skill within the series. Does this mean as long as his luck is good enough to open the Shinigami series, his Maru can immediately reach 4 stars? He secretly estimated that after becoming 4 stars, with the complete version of Hayaten Hayakuso, he could reach a small peak. There is another thing, now the system needs the number of his gold skills to unlock corresponding functions. He doesn't know what functions can be unlocked, this time it's truly a huge harvest. 312,010 pleasure points have already ensured that he can draw 1 gold, and if his luck is good, double gold or triple gold is not impossible. Wouldn't his combat power rise rapidly? And this time, he can also upgrade a purple skill to full stars. Yu Xian was extremely excited in his heart. One must know that gold skills are something that can be met but not sought. The Maru and Star Platinum he currently possesses were all obtained relying on the novice gift pack and luck. The probability of gold skills is really too low. Looking at the reporters at the scene who were shocked by Tony Stark exposing his identity, Yu Xian found an excuse to come to a deserted corner. Yu Xian was expectant in his heart and immediately gave the order. The system interface changed immediately, and a roulette appeared in his consciousness space, covered with colorful options. System, start using the limited time lottery reward. I wonder what good things I can draw this time. Give me a 10 pull first. I hope you don't give me white trash again this time. The huge roulette began to rotate, and colorful lights intertwined and flashed, dazzling people. Ding, ding, ding. A series of prompt tones sounded, and a white light flashed before Yu Xian's eyes. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a white item, cooking 1 star. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a white item, driving skills 1 star. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a white item, fighting techniques 1 star. Quote. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a blue item, Dragon Ball Series Senzu Bean 1 star. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a blue skill, Hado number 31, Shakuho. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Yu Xian's expression went from excitement at the beginning, to surprise in the middle, to trembling later, and finally to a blank face. 50,000 pleasure points went down, and he hadn't caught anything. He watched the pointer stop in the white area again and again, and couldn't help but complain, white, white again, still white. System, your drop rate is too moving, right? I am the man who saved Iron Man, and you show me this. Please keep patience, host. The lottery results are completely random, fair and just, with no shady deals. Fine, anyway, I have plenty of pleasure points, I'll stick with you. The pointer spun rapidly, as if it would never stop. White, blue, ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a blue item, Ghost God Guide activate potential. Yu Xian's pleasure points were also falling rapidly. 100,000 pleasure points vanished like flowing water, yet he didn't even see the shadow of a purple one. No way, am I that unlucky today? Yu Xian couldn't sit still anymore. He started to suspect if he hadn't washed his hands after going to the bathroom. This is too dark, right? Come again. I don't believe it. I, the dignified master of slacking off, can still be stumped by a broken roulette. White, blue, white, blue. Finally, after countless attempts, the pointer on the roulette slowly stopped in the purple area. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a purple item. Shinigami series Ryujin Jaka incomplete 1-star Shikai state. Finally got a drop. Ryujin Jaka in Shikai state. Forget it, ignore it for now. Taking advantage of the state, hurry up and draw, that is the good opportunity. Yu Xian looked at the remaining 150,000 or so pleasure points and smashed them down instantly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a blue skill, top-tier fighting techniques 1 star. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a purple item, Fairy Tail Series 2nd Origin Enhance Mental Power. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a purple skill, Hokage Series Shadow Possession Jutsu. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a purple skill, Fairy Tail Series Natsu Fire Dragon's Roar. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a purple item, Freren, Beyond Journey's End Series Magic that cleans stains off clothes, cleaning magic. Finally, as the pleasure points were about to bottom out, 2 dazzling golden lights burst out from the roulette. It's here, gold item. Yu Xian opened his eyes wide, his eyes shooting essence. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a gold item, Random Series Gold Skill Chest. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a specified gold item, Stand Ability JoJo Series Skill Chest. Host's pleasure points are exhausted, this lottery draw has ended. Obtained skill fragments from this time have automatically promoted. White fragments 33, blue fragments 45, purple fragments 4. Host, Yu Xian. Pleasure points, 0. Abilities, gold. Purple, Shinigami Series Ryujin Jaka incomplete 1-star Shikai State Hokage Series Shadow Possession Jutsu, Fairy Tail Series Fire Dragon's Roar 1-star Freren, Beyond Journey's End Series Magic that cleans stains off clothes, cleaning magic. White fragments 33, blue fragments 45, purple fragments 4. Items, Random Series Gold Skill Chest, Specified Stand Ability JoJo Series Skill Chest, Fairy Tail Series 2nd Origin Enhance Mental Power. Yu Xian saw the brand new panel, and 2 words popped up in his mind. Rich, this time I'm really rich. Yu Xian looked at the golden treasure chest in his system inventory, his face filled with excitement. How long had it been since he last saw the color gold after pulling out Wolverine Regeneration? He wondered what kind of skill this random draw would yield. Let's open the JoJo series skill treasure chest first. Let me think carefully. Should I choose another stand ability, or continue to dig deeper into the potential of Star Platinum based on what I already have? If I choose again, I could still select several super strong stand abilities. Giorno Giovanna's stand gold experience is quite good. It's an ability involving the causal level and can even grant life to inorganic matter. Its ultimate skill, Gold Experience Requiem, can even return all processes to 0, making it a god that prevents attack intentions from reaching their result. So, you're the one. Select Stand Gold Experience. System prompt. Because this ability is a special restricted level skill, the host must meet specified conditions before it can be drawn. What the hell? There's a level restriction for using skills. You, a dignified system, say there are restrictions. How can I not believe that? I'm afraid you just haven't figured out the skill effects and put it there to tempt and attract me, making me wait until Earth level. And what level is Earth level? Reply to host. Skyfather level is on par with gods, a super strong individual who masters galactic level power. The host can be compared to Odin, Thanos without the gauntlet, Sorcerer Ancient One, Gila, etc. What the host obtains are skills, and skills do not represent strength. The host's strength is determined by the total energy value obtained from golden skills and purple skills. Relevant information functions will be opened one after another when the host's strength meets the standard. System prompt. According to my data, the strength classification in the Marvel Universe world is street level, city level, continent level, earth level, Skyfather level. It's all useless nonsense. I'd better just peacefully choose my Star Platinum and wait until the relevant functions are unlocked. Learn about the Star Platinum budget version of Superman's steel body. System, select Star Platinum skill. Understood, host. Consuming one designated JoJo series skill treasure chest. Host Star Platinum upgraded, Star Platinum 2 stars. Host's physique significantly improved, obtained skill Finger Pistol. Finger Pistol, not bad, another god tier skill. By the way, is this Finger Pistol legitimate? Also, I suddenly thought that Star Platinum can eventually freeze time. Could it be that upgrading it to the end will grant a time stop domain? Time stop for more than 2 seconds. If this were the Flash, one could do so many things. Yu Xian felt his physique improve significantly. System reminder. Host, with your current abilities, you can take a direct hit from Hulk in a confrontation. Ah, what kind of strange comparison is this? But if I can take a punch from Hulk, I'll have a better idea about the subsequent Hulk plot. With Wolverine regeneration, wouldn't all the damage and healing just amount to being unscathed? System, what is the strength of Hulk normal state? Reply to Host, Hulk normal state as continent level, possessing the strength to destroy a continent or fight against a large army. That won't do, can you create a statistic for my strength? It's not convenient to look at it like this right now. Host, combat power visualization opens when you possess your first 5-star skill, both golden and purple can activate it. Is that so? Then let's continue upgrading skills. One Piece series Whisper Whisper Fruit 1 star. One Piece series Dango Dango Fruit 1 star. Fairy Tail series Ice Make Magic 1 star. Bleach series Ryujin Jaka Incomplete 1 star Shikai State. Naruto series Shadow Possession Jutsu. Fairy Tail series Fire Dragon's Roar 1 star. Freren. Beyond Journey's End series Magic that removes stains from clothes completely, cleaning magic. Yu Xian took a look at his 7 purple abilities, first eliminating cleaning magic, as it had no upgrade mark. This thing probably won't improve combat power. Then, it's a choice among the remaining ones. Ryujin Jaka Incomplete Ice Make Magic, Fire Dragon's Roar, let's choose from these 3 offensive ones. In the early stages, prioritize maxing out attack skills. Support skills and such have to be put aside for later. For Ice type, I already have Hirenmaru, so Ice Make Magic can be set aside for now. Ryujin Jaka Incomplete and Fire Dragon's Roar, it's a bit hard to choose. System, what is the difference between these two? Host, Ryujin Jaka Incomplete can use all skills Shikai State while Fire Dragon's Roar only has one form. So it's a difference in skill attributes, is it buy one get one free? Then it's Ryujin Jaka. System, use all purple fragments on Bleach series Ryujin Jaka Incomplete 1 star. Understood, Host. Friendly reminder, Ryujin Jaka will cause a large amount of energy to release during the upgrade, please find a location carefully, Host. Question mark question mark question mark question mark. What do you mean? Ding. Skill upgraded, Ryujin Jaka Incomplete 2 stars. Ding. Skill upgraded, Ryujin Jaka Incomplete 3 stars. Hum tilde hum tilde hum tilde. Ryujin Jaka suddenly appeared in front of Yu Xian, humming. Hirenmaru at his waist seemed to be provoked, and a faint dragon cry followed. Bang! A ball of flames suddenly erupted from Yu Xian's body. In an instant, the flames emerged from every pore of his skin like living things. This flame spread uncontrollably, quickly enveloping him completely and turning him into a walking torch. Moreover, the temperature of the flames was constantly rising. System, you played me. Boom. Seeing that he was about to cause a huge commotion, Yu Xian didn't think twice when looking at the floor-to-ceiling glass in front of him. He kicked off with his legs, and the ground was instantly blasted into a 1-meter diameter dent by the sudden force, filled with fine cracks. Crackle. The floor-to-ceiling glass was instantly shattered, and Yu Xian's burning body appeared on the street outside, with huge ice crystal wings appearing on his back. Whoosh! He soared into the air from where he was, heading towards the distant sea. This huge commotion drew the attention of the crowd at the press conference and the pedestrians on the street. Is that the Lord of Winter? Heavens, the Lord of Winter actually appeared at the press conference site. Mr. Stark, you said you and the Lord of Winter are old acquaintances, can you tell us what his identity is? Sorry, no comment. Someone on the street luckily captured a video of this scene, and it started to go viral on the internet. In just a few minutes, it had millions of views and was still rising rapidly. Haha, the Lord of Winter is no longer satisfied with the authority of the ice element, starting to infringe on the domain of the fire element. Heavens, this is too cool, right? Look at this ice crystal silhouette filled with flames, the perfect fusion of ice and fire. Say no more, from today on, I am a die-hard fan of the Lord of Winter. Quote. Above the firmament, a fire meteor streaked across. Yu Xian felt the two energy forces of Ryujin Jaka and Hiranmaru clashing violently within him. One cold and one hot, like two dragons fighting inside him. The Hiranmaru at his waist let out a dissatisfied dragon cry, seemingly protesting the existence of the other blade. Shut up, both of you. The humming of the two blades made Yu Xian feel incredibly irritated. He let out a roar, and the two Zanpakuto were startled by his intense anger, falling silent. But the energy conflict within his body continued. Sizzle tilde. The temperature of the flames around his body continued to rise, even scorching the air until it twisted and deformed. Yu Xian flew rapidly toward the sea, the flames on his body growing more intense. He could feel Ryujin Jaka awakening within him, and the continuously released energy caused him excruciating pain throughout his body. Ding. Skill upgraded, Ryujin Jaka incomplete 5 stars. Combat power visualization enabled. Purple skill upgrade enabled. When the host possesses 5 max star purple skills, the host can choose 1 max star skill to promote to gold, unlocking all systemic abilities corresponding to that skill. Example 1. If Ryujin Jaka is upgraded to gold, all forms after Shikai will be unlocked. Example 2. If Fire Dragon's Roar is upgraded to gold, it will automatically upgrade to Dragon Slayer magic, unlocking all relevant abilities of the Mage Natsu. The loss of control over the energy within Yu Xian became increasingly severe. The energies of Ryujin Jaka and Hiranmaru seemed to be engaged in a fierce battle, with neither willing to give way. Finally flying over the coastline, Yu Xian could no longer control himself. Amid the shocked gazes of the people playing on the shore, with a roar, he fell into the distant sea like a fire meteor. Bang! A massive column of steam rose from the sea surface. The seawater within a 100-meter radius boiled instantly, and huge bubbles kept appearing and rising in the area, as if a terrifying heat source existed inside. Under the sea, the confrontation between ice and fire reached its peak. The cold air released by Hiranmaru constantly froze the surrounding seawater, while the flames of Ryujin Jaka frantically evaporated these ice layers. Yu Xian's skin began to crack, revealing the burning flesh beneath, the pain making him almost lose consciousness. But fortunately, and unfortunately, Wolverine regeneration was constantly restoring his damaged body, preventing him from passing out. Yu Xian's body was filled with ice and fire energy. He felt that in the next second, he might not be able to withstand the conflict between the two energies. And with a bang, explode. No, I must save myself. Since there is no outlet for the energy release, I can only vent all this excess energy through my skills. Without hesitation, Yu Xian acted on his thought. Fire Dragon's Roar. Ice Make Magic, Ice Holy Sword. The tourists playing on the coastline were startled by the sudden incoming fireball. When the fireball fell into the distant sea, the crowd completely erupted in chaos. What was that just now? That scared the hell out of me. I thought a meteor hit Earth. I saw it clearly, it looked like a human figure. My God, what is wrong with this world? In just one day, so many superpowered individuals have suddenly appeared. Look, that guy boiled the seawater. How high must that temperature be? Quick, record it. This will definitely make it to the global trending searches. How terrifying. Was that an earthquake? Quote. Just as people were discussing, a dragon's roar echoed from the sea. The crowd looked in the direction of the dragon's roar and were shocked to see bright light emerging from the continuously boiling seawater. Boom! A massive pillar of fire, about 5 meters in diameter, shot out of the sea and soared into the high sky. The terrifying temperature allowed even those hundreds of meters away to clearly feel the scorching heat. Immediately after came extreme cold. Frost appeared on the sea surface, and it was completely frozen. A giant sword about 10 meters long condensed from the air and slashed toward the seawater to the side. Swish! Nearly 100 meters of seawater were split in two and completely frozen. Under the sea, Yu Xian let the ice and fire energy within his body be continuously released. Ryujin Jaka hovered before him. The blade was as red as magma, emitting a dazzling light. The flames formed a huge protective barrier, isolating the seawater outside. Half an hour later, in the shocked eyes of the crowd, the boiling sea finally calmed down. The seawater gradually cooled. The steam dissipated. leaving only a calm sea surface, as if nothing had ever happened. Under the sea, Yu Xian had fully recovered, with one fire and one ice sword hovering before him. Congratulations to the host for successfully mastering the power of ice and fire. From now on, am I a dual-wielding warrior? However, regarding this strength, I can already feel the energy contained within. So now, open the final gold treasure chest. Then use the item, second magic source. According to the system display, I can still increase my strength a bit more. Yu Xian decided to open the chest and try his luck. System, open the golden treasure chest. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the following rewards, please select one. Gold. Fate Series Servant Contract. Caster Medea 1 star. Gold. Demon Slayer Series Sun Breathing 1 star. Gold. One Piece Series Mythical Zone. Phoenix Fruit 1 star. Friendly reminder. Servant Contract. Caster Medea is the Witch of Betrayal from the Fate world, responding to the summon as a caster class, with the risk of backlashing against the host. After signing the contract, she will use the Master's mana as fuel, becoming the host's most dangerous ally. Hehe, the rewards this time are quite interesting. The Witch of Betrayal, breathing techniques, and devil fruits, huh. It really is a bit hard to choose. Yu Xian looked at the three choices and fell into thought. Although sun breathing is strong, the phoenix fruit and Medea are both more attractive. Either I can fly, burrow underground, and not fear water, or I have an obedient, living witch servant. Wait, is Medea obedient? Yu Xian muttered to himself, his 5 fingers curling unconsciously. Host, Medea has a risk of backlash, please choose carefully. Medea from Fate is a ruthless character, doing whatever it takes to get what she loves. He thought of Medea's powerful magic system and her strength in the Fate worldview, high-level magic, magic workshop, instant casting, control over meteorites, and even anti-magic noble phantasms. Isn't this just an alternative Scarlet Witch? It goes without saying how useful this would be in the Marvel Universe. A witch can bring more surprises than a fruit. Besides, I have the slacking system. What she needs is someone who won't betray her, someone who values her, and someone loyal to her. Looking at it this way, I still have a chance. Moreover, he now has the dual blades Hiranmaru and Ryujin Jaka in hand, Star Platinum to protect his body, and Wolverine's self-healing. Such a powerful combination is enough to deal with sudden situations. Even if he gets backstabbed, he wouldn't die on the spot. As long as he doesn't die, there's a chance to recover. Besides, the process of interacting with Medea should be quite enjoyable, right? System, I choose Servant Contract, Caster Medea. Warning. Once the contract begins, it cannot be revoked. Medea will be bound to the host through a magical contract. The contract requires a large amount of magic power, please confirm, host. Confirmed, start the contract. Deep on the ocean floor, a golden magic circle slowly unfolded in front of Yu Xian, its complex patterns emitting a mysterious glow. Ancient Greek characters float along the edge of the magic circle, emitting heavy magical fluctuations. In the center of the magic circle, purple light surged, and a mass of mist slowly condensed into a human shape. First, a pair of slender legs appeared, then a slim waist, followed by graceful arms and shoulders, and finally, a beautiful yet slightly indifferent face. This was a tall woman. She had long purple hair draped over her shoulders, wore a Greek-style robe, her eyes were as bright as amethysts, and she wore a golden necklace set with a ruby around her neck. Class Caster, Medea, as a servant, let her gaze wander over the person in front of her, the corners of her mouth curling slightly. Are you the one who summoned me? Interesting. I can feel more than one type of power fluctuation within you. Class Caster, true name Medea, responding to the summons. Tell me, Master, what is your purpose in summoning me? Her voice was like a clear spring, carrying elegance and nobility. Yu Xian narrowed his eyes, feeling the mental energy in his body being constantly drained. There was an invisible thread connecting the two of them. It seems this is due to the different world rules, using mental energy to replace the supply of magic power. However, based on the current consumption, he could fully provide her daily supply. Yu Xian chuckled, as if thinking of something, and said teasingly, purpose. My purpose, of course, is to slack off better. Medea frowned, a trace of confusion flashing in her eyes. Slack off. What kind of ideal is that? Simply put, It's to help me reduce my work burden so that I can be more relaxed and at ease. I see. You want to use my power to fight for you. Very well. As long as you can provide enough magic power, I will fulfill the obligations of the contract. Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Yu Xian. From today on, I am your master. Yu Xian could faintly feel that this witch was not as gentle and obedient as she appeared on the surface. He didn't know what this person was thinking in her heart. Yu Xian ignored Medea, who was watching him, and took out the item Fairy Tale Series Second Origin from his hand. Looking at the Longan-sized light orb in his hand, he swallowed it immediately without hesitation. The light orb brought a burning sensation as it entered his throat, and instantly, it was as if magma was flowing through his blood vessels. The energy fluctuations on his body rose sharply, his clothes fluttered slightly, and the seawater began to form a circular vortex with him as the center. The mental energy within Yu Xian began to increase significantly, and his original mental space was forcibly expanded to twice its original size. His body began to glow, and it seemed as if an undercurrent of stars was surging beneath his skin. Medea watched coldly from the side. What is this guy doing? This kind of energy fluctuation is actually so powerful. Who exactly is he? As a mage from the Age of Gods, her perception of magic power was extremely keen, and the changes in the master in front of her made her feel incredulous. This is impossible. In just a few seconds, his magic power reserves have doubled. Even in the Age of Gods, that era when gods walked the earth, being able to significantly increase magic power reserves in such a short time was unheard of. This master is truly mysterious. And Medea felt the abilities she could call upon within her body and discovered that some powerful abilities could not be used, as if they had been sealed. Medea licked her red lips, her beautiful eyes staring intently at the cultivating Yu Xian. Perhaps this person could answer her doubts. Boom! A sound erupted from within Yu Xian, the chaotic power surrounding him was completely reclaimed, and the seabed returned to calm. Yu Xian slowly opened his eyes, his calm gaze finally falling on Medea's graceful figure, the undulating magnificence, the full roundness behind, and the slender legs. Cough, cough, no, no, how could he be such a beast? Resisting the temptation, he grabbed the floating Hiranmaru and waved his arm lightly toward the seabed. Crack, 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 100-meter-long ice crack formed instantly. Although it was 100 meters, wasn't this thing a bit too slender? Other people's 100-meter cracks are the kind that people can fit into, why is mine the kind that even my treasure can't fit into? Is being robust a crime? Yu Xian complained in his heart, silently watching the ice generated by Hiranmaru slowly fall to the seabed and disappear. It's broken. Yu Xian suddenly remembered that he had suddenly gone berserk at the press conference, and he didn't know if anyone had filmed it. He hoped that girl Katarina could do a good job cleaning up after him. He didn't want to be famous. He didn't want to be recognized whenever he went out on the street or tried to pick up girls. SS is tilde. Huh, what's that sound? Yu Xian raised his confused eyes and looked toward the source of the sound. He saw that the flame barrier created by Ryujin Jaka had disappeared as the energy that had erupted within his body was exhausted. The corners of Yu Xian's mouth twitched slightly. Remembering that he was still 300 meters below sea level, the good mood from his greatly increased strength instantly vanished by more than half. The little bit that remained only felt better when he saw Medea, who was also looking grim, standing to the side. Medea suddenly said to Yu Xian, "Master, since there is nothing else, please summon me back. I have just descended and am not yet familiar with the rules of this world." Yu Xian looked at Medea with a chuckle. As a servant, she should share the joys and sorrows with her master, how could she just think about her own comfort? Pop tilde. The only light source existing on the seabed was completely extinguished. In the darkness, Medea's cold and disgusted voice faintly came through. It seems that your control over magic power still needs more practice, master. At a deserted sea cliff, Yu Xian retracted his ice wings and set Medea down from his arms. The two stood in a sorry state on the edge of the cliff, clothes drenched, seawater dripping from their hair tips. The sea breeze blew past, carrying a salty, fishy scent, while sunlight shone upon Medea's delicate, frost-like face. A flash of displeasure crossed her amethyst-like eyes, but it was quickly masked by her elegant posture. At this moment, Medea's long purple hair was soaked through with seawater, clinging tightly to her fair cheeks and neck. Her Greek-style robe had also become heavy from absorbing water, clinging tightly to her body and outlining her perfect curves. Watching Medea's disheveled appearance, like a little kitten, Yu Xian suddenly burst into laughter, the sound echoing across the empty sea cliff. Host detected feeling pleased seeing the aloof witch Medea in such a disheveled state. Pleasure value plus 100. Master, your laughter is unpleasant, Medea said coldly, her fingers twitching slightly, as if considering whether to use magic to teach this presumptuous man before her a lesson. Yu Xian, however, didn't care at all and laughed even harder. Look at us, don't we look like two drowned dogs? I am not a dog. It's just a metaphor, don't be so serious. Though I must say, you look quite good even when soaked. Medea let out a cold huff, raised her hand to cast a spell, and a gust of hot wind surrounded her, quickly evaporating the water from her clothes. Ah, don't be so stingy, do that for me too. HMPH. Yu Xian. Fine, fine, it looks like I'll have to do it myself. Cleaning magic activated. Yu Xian tapped his fingertip, and a wisp of pale blue light surged from his palm, flowing over his entire body like water. Wherever the light touched, the seawater was magically drawn away, leaving not a trace behind. What kind of ability is this? Medea raised an eyebrow, her amethyst-like eyes flickering with curiosity. Feeling the power of cleaning magic, Yu Xian was in a good mood and didn't mind Medea's previous rudeness. Freren. Beyond Journey's End series, cleaning magic. Although this little trick has zero combat power, it's quite practical in daily life. Looking at the smiling black-haired youth before her, the witch Medea felt complex thoughts emerge in her heart. This master who claimed to want to slack off was likely far more complex than he appeared on the surface. Although his behavior was reckless and even somewhat frivolous, the abilities and attitude he displayed made even her feel a hint of surprise and curiosity. It was truly incredible. Captain, so what good deed have you done again? Katerina looked at the returning Yu Xian with a bristling expression. She had spent an entire day, with the help of Agent Coulson, barely managing to suppress the pyro incident Yu Xian caused at the press conference to prevent it from spreading further. Now, the internet was just going crazy over the back view of Yu Xian's ice and fire display and the series of commotions he caused at sea. The blonde girl rolled her eyes, her gaze falling upon the ethereal purple-haired woman beside Yu Xian, and she couldn't help but exclaim inwardly, what a beautiful woman. Hey, in just a short while, where did the captain trick another silly girl from? Should she secretly tip her off and let her know that the captain isn't a good man? Sigh, one life saved is one life saved. The witch Medea felt the girl's gaze, and looking at her meaningful look, she furrowed her brows slightly. For some reason, she felt as if she had been offended. Yu Xian waved his hand indifferently. Hey, as long as it's resolved, it's resolved. Katerina, I knew you were the best, you have never let me down. Hey, do you think I'll be happy just because you praise me a couple of times? Stop being a hands-off manager. After spending a long time together, the girl had already mastered how to get along with Yu Xian. This guy was just too cheeky. If she didn't stand her ground, this guy would definitely push his luck. Yu Xian changed the subject to divert the girl's attention. By the way, let me introduce you, this will be the new member of our Team Y from now on. You can call her Medea. Host detected feeling pleased due to the expansion of team members. Pleasure value plus 50. By the way, how are things with Tony? Tony is very curious about your abilities and wants to meet with you to talk in detail. Perfect, I also have a surprise for him. Stark Tower, good God, you really are a news headline machine, my brother. Tony looked at Yu Xian, who had arrived before him, and clicked his tongue in wonder. This guy used ice, then fire, was there anything he couldn't do? Haha, let's not talk about that for now, I have someone I want you to meet. A person. Tony looked at the mysterious-looking Yu Xian, unable to guess his thoughts. Alright, I'm curious to see who exactly could get you to come over. Shield, a secret dark room. Tony Stark followed Yu Xian into the Shield secret conference room. He still didn't understand what surprise Yu Xian was going to give him. Tony, I think you should still remember this person. At the other end of the room, a familiar figure that Tony would never forget in his lifetime slowly turned around. Tony widened his eyes, looking at the person before him in disbelief. Ethan. This was impossible. Ethan had clearly. Ethan stood there with a gentle smile on his face. Long time no see, Tony. The long-lost voice made Tony feel like he was in a dream. He rushed forward and hugged Ethan's body tightly. I thought you were dead. I watched you with my own eyes. I also thought I would die. Ethan patted Tony's back gently. Thanks to Agent Yu Xian, he arrived in time and saved me. Tony looked at Ethan, tears shimmering in his eyes, and said in a hoarse voice, I'm sorry, Ethan. I should have been more careful. I shouldn't have let you get into danger. Don't blame yourself, Tony, none of that matters. What matters is that we are both still alive. You're right. Tony took a deep breath, calmed his emotions, and turned to Yu Xian. Thank you, Yu Xian, I owe you a favor. Yu Xian waved his hand. Don't say that. We are friends, right? How did you do it? I clearly saw him. It was just good luck. I happened to arrive in time and used a little trick to save him. No, it wasn't just luck. Who exactly are you? Just an agent who likes to slack off. Host detected feeling pleased. Pleasure value plus 100. New York, Shield Branch, Team Y office. Sigh, this is painful, Medea. Do you have any magic that can change my mood? Give me a shot. A month had passed since Iron Man met Ethan. But the pain that their meeting brought to Yu Xian had not healed for a long time. What the hell? He never expected that one day he would be poached. Originally, according to his plan, after letting Tony and the other meet, he would execute Nick Fury's Avengers initiative first, reveal the potential crisis of the world to Tony, disclose that humans were not the only ones in the universe, and when his mind was shaken, invite him to join the Avengers initiative. This step went as he expected. Tony showed interest. The next step was to wait for Nick Fury to evaluate him. Then he gentlemanly sent an invitation to join the team to Dr. Ethan. And Dr. Ethan should have been teary-eyed, gladly accepting the invitation and entering Team Y. How perfect. However, unexpectedly, Dr. Ethan actually refused. Refused. Unbelievable. This was a result he never expected. Dr. Ethan stood in the conference room at the time, his eyes very firm. I am truly sorry, Agent Yu Xian. Although I am very grateful that you saved my life, but I am unwilling to accept strict hierarchical systems and missions that may violate ethics. More importantly, I have some understanding of the work content of your Team Y. To be honest, I don't think I can adapt to that. High efficiency, way of working. If it were just that, it would be fine, but Tony took the opportunity to send an invitation, and this guy agreed immediately without saying a word. What a pair of illicit lovers. With things like this, he didn't even have the confidence to invite the future Quake Daisy Johnson, now Sky, to join the team. It was because the relationship wasn't handled well, and they hadn't drunk enough. Sky, this destined teammate of his, must have a foolproof plan to securely bring her in. Being rejected, don't I have any face? Sigh, painful. No, it's time to find someone to share the distress. Medea, sharing the master's pain is what a servant should do. Mental pain is also pain. Medea, detected that the host is in a pleasant mood, pleasure value plus 300. The witch Medea looked at the master who was going crazy on his own again, and her head began to ache faintly. After observing for this period, this guy had no intention of betraying her, and he also needed her very much, but, this need was completely different from what she imagined. There were none of the various battles, magic experiments, and other related scenes in her imagination. What replaced them? Documents, endless documents. And what did he ask her to do? Wash clothes, watch TV shows together, watch horror movies together, cook. Sigh, if only she hadn't tried to cook. Ever since this guy ate the food she made, his palate seemed to have become spoiled. If he didn't eat it for a day, he would start pestering her tirelessly. Medea, how is it? Have you cooked yet? Medea, I'm thirsty. Medea, is it ready yet? Medea. Thinking of this, anger surged up in Medea's heart. Take a deep breath. No, elegance, I must maintain elegance. Medea, what are we having today? Medea, I want to eat the dessert you made. Medea, why are you ignoring me? Medea, snapped Tilda. The pen Medea was using to review documents instantly snapped in two, and pitch black ink instantly flowed down from her fair fingers, staining most of the documents. This period has been truly relaxing. Katerina watched the captain bickering with Medea as usual, and an illusion of a peaceful life emerged in her heart. Sigh, no, Katerina, you have really fallen. You are a woman who wants to become a top-tier agent and a hero who protects people from harm. You cannot fall into a bed of comfort. However, to be fair, ever since Sister Medea joined the team, the entire atmosphere within the team has been different. Katerina heard the captain ask Sister Medea what she was making to eat today, and she couldn't help but secretly prick up her ears to listen. It was really because the food Sister Medea made was too delicious. She couldn't be blamed for having an unsteady Tao heart. Meow. Katerina felt an itch on her calf, and when she looked down, a chubby Garfield cat was rubbing against her leg. Feifei, you're being naughty again. Katerina picked Feifei up into her arms, stretched out her devilish claws, and stroked it all over. The young girl couldn't stop sinking into memories amidst the joy of petting the cat. During this month, their Team Y successfully welcomed 3 members to the team. These 3 guys were not human, they were all animals, but they were all very human-like, could understand what people were saying, and she didn't know how the captain trained them. The first one she saw was the captain's white phoenix, a white owl that always maintained elegance. Then there was the Feifei she was holding in her arms, a Garfield cat that always maintained laziness. The last one was Titi Kai, an otter that always maintained a desire to fight. The 3 of them respectively controlled the sky, land, and water. The captain liked to call them the 3 major intelligence chiefs under his command. Deservedly, the 3 giants of sea, land, and air. If it weren't for their team receiving an emergency mission from above during this period to find the long-missing scientist who suddenly appeared in New York, David Banner, she was afraid there would be no way to make the captain show his fox tail. In the process of their Team Y collecting intelligence, the captain unreservedly revealed his ability to control animals and communicate with them. Although she was very happy that the captain opened his heart to her without avoiding anything, but why did she feel that it was actually just because the captain was lazy and didn't want to carry out the search himself? Moreover, looking at the 3 busy generals beside the captain, looking at the endless stream of animals in front of them, and then looking at the captain who was drinking tea and watching TV shows, the thought in her heart became stronger and stronger. God, the captain is really invincible. Not only does he not spare people, but even animals cannot escape his clutches. However, it was a pity that even if the captain urged the intelligence network he built, and searched for a full half-month, he did not find any trace of David Banner. It seemed as if this person had never appeared in this New York. She didn't know where the higher-ups collected the intelligence from. Sigh, she didn't know how long this mission would need to continue. At this time, the voice of Medea full of helplessness came into the ears of the young girl who was full of worries. Katerina, what do you want to eat? Ring, ring, ring. Hey, director, what, another mission? That won't do, we still have a missing person mission on hand, we're busy. Ah, that mission is cancelled. Fine, what is the mission? Protect Bruce Banner. Quote. Night, New York, North Manhattan, by the Hudson River, Team Y waterside villa. Yu Xian was writing furiously under the lamp. Today, Nick Fury notified me to protect Bruce Banner, and to find an opportunity to see if he is worthy of joining the Avengers. I don't know if it's because of my influence, but why does it feel like the plan to bring Bruce Banner into the Avengers has been moved up? But it's not a big problem. As long as the general plot of the Marvel Universe remains unchanged, I can handle small alterations. But how should I get Bruce Banner to recognize the Avengers? I remember in the normal plot, Bruce Banner was constantly being hunted, and it wasn't until Loki brought aliens to Earth that he was officially invited to the Avengers. The current Bruce Banner is in a sensitive period, being tracked by General Ross, so going there just like that definitely won't work. And I also need to take General Ross's resistance into account, so the villain Abomination is essential. Only when Abomination appears, poses a huge threat to the world, and Bruce Banner transforms into Hulk to stop him, causing General Ross to suffer defeat, realize that the super soldier serum is not foolproof, realize that Hulk is not entirely a destroyer, re-evaluate Hulk's abilities and value, and completely change General Ross's attitude to stop hunting Hulk. Can the situation be turned around? And this way, this poor guy Bruce Banner won't have to be separated from his beloved, unable to see each other. It can be considered fulfilling a couple and earning great merit. As long as these problems are solved, more than half of Bruce Banner's issues will be resolved. The rest is how to persuade him to join. His most important goal right now is to solve the transformation problem. So, through S.H.I.E.L.D. and Iron Man Tony, I will provide him with a stable research environment, the most advanced equipment and instruments, professional researchers, good living conditions, plus help him solve his love life issues, and finally give him some conviction by telling him that the Avengers are committed to maintaining the safety of the world and resisting various supernatural and alien threats. With so many heavy doses of medicine, I don't believe Bruce Banner won't be moved. Yu Xian wrote to this point, suddenly remembered something, and muttered to himself, then can I insert some of my own personal agenda into this? In a flash of inspiration, his thoughts surged, and he began to write. Right, I can also make contact with Sky, the Inhuman, the future Quake. By leveraging the Hulk incident, I can let her participate as well, letting her clearly recognize the true appearance of the world. This can deepen the bond between us. But just relying on this is not enough, I need a more detailed customized strategy. Let me think. One of this girl's most important obsessions right now is finding her origins. I can start from here. This girl has been an orphan since childhood, fostered in different families, full of doubts and longing for her past and her biological parents. Learning hacking skills was also to track down her biological parents. So, after the Hulk incident, I just need to use accessing S.H.I.E.L.D. resources to help her find her parents as an entry point. She is currently lacking love, and our Team Y will give her the warmth of a family. This, sugar-coated bullet, specially designed for her, launching a comprehensive attack on her from various dimensions such as exploring her origins, self-worth, and sense of belonging. After a full process, from body to heart, from thought to flesh, 360 degrees without blind spots, making her completely devoted, I don't believe she won't fall into my gentle trap. The Ethan incident must absolutely not happen a second time. Absolutely. Writing to this point, Yu Xian finally stopped his pen, looked at the general strategy for dealing with future events above, and nodded with satisfaction. Once smoothed out like this, what to do next is much clearer. Looking at the diary in front of him, Yu Xian sighed softly. It's not that easy to keep slacking off. Behind the ability to slack off peacefully, it is often the result of a great deal of thinking. One must control the progress during the mission at all times, and while slacking off, one still needs to ensure the mission is completed perfectly. Such mentally exhausting things are better left to others to help me do. Thinking of the few remaining members in the team, Yu Xian felt a bit inexplicably sad. Excluding the 3 animal intelligence chiefs, one is an elegant queen who listens to orders but doesn't obey, playing her own little games every day, the other is a naive girl who lacks experience and is particularly prone to getting carried away. I have no soldiers under my command who can fight. Yu Xian casually closed the diary of main plot thoughts on the Marvel Universe in front of him, took out a new diary from the table beside him, on which was written, Strategy Guide for the Witch of Betrayal, Medea. Swish, 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 he started writing again. About the information on Medea, I have gradually remembered it all during this time. Witch of Betrayal, Medea, a tragedy in Greek mythology. Medea in Greek mythology is the princess of Colchis and a genius of Age of Gods magic. She betrayed her family for love, but was ultimately abandoned by the person she loved. She helped Jason obtain the Golden Fleece, and for this, she did not hesitate to kill her own brother and betray her father and her motherland. However, after Jason got everything he wanted, he abandoned her and married Glauce, the daughter of the king of Corinth. In the end, for revenge, she not only used poison to kill Glauce and the king, but also killed her own 2 children with Jason. This princess, who once sacrificed everything for love, eventually turned into the Witch of Betrayal, feared by everyone. This experience of being used and then abandoned made her completely disappointed in human nature, forming a psychological defense mechanism of proactive betrayal to protect oneself. To become her unbreakable bond, the following 3 points are of the utmost importance. 1. Become an existence that cannot be betrayed. 2. Satisfy her sense of being needed. 3. Accept her dark side, but do not indulge her loss of control. As long as I can do these well, the power of the Witch of Betrayal, Medea, can be used by me. Writing to this point, Yu Xian stopped his pen, got up, came to the window, and looked at the Witch of Betrayal, sitting by the pool, barefoot, playing with the water surface under the moonlight. Watching Katerina and the 3 major intelligence giants playing around her, watching her, dressed in a purple gauze dress, humming an ancient folk song softly, Yu Xian's heart stirred. He returned to the table, and in the Strategy Guide for the Witch of Betrayal, Medea diary, he picked up his pen and wrote the last 3 sentences about the essence of gaining the recognition of the witch of betrayal, Medea. She practices madness in the name of a witch, yet is nothing but a mortal yearning for love. What she needs is not a master, but a companion who dares to fall into the abyss with her. And I will engrave my name on the blade of her rule breaker, becoming the only accomplice of fate she cannot sever. On the internet, a topic storm targeting the Lord of Winter is rapidly forming. In the top 20 of the trending search list, half of the topics are related to the Lord of Winter, and the view counts for these related topics are constantly breaking records. The Lord of Winter appears out of nowhere, freezing an armed thug with one palm. Mysterious figure, Lord of Winter, appears again. Brooklyn bank robbers turn into ice sculptures on the spot. Who is the Lord of Winter? New York's latest superhero sparks heated public discussion. Controller of ice and fire, Lord of Winter rescues children trapped in a fire. Shocking, the untold secrets between Iron Man Tony and the Lord of Winter. Quote. The view counts for various related videos have already exceeded 10 million, and the comment sections have exploded. Did you see that? He froze that bank robbing thug into an ice sculpture. I was right at the scene, you could even see the terrified expression on that guy's face through the ice. That fire rescue was truly shocking. My cousin was in that building at the time and said the Lord of Winter was like a god descending from heaven. With a wave of his hands, the wall of fire instantly froze, and then he flew out of a window on the dozen-story building with ice wings on his back. Did you guys notice that wherever the Lord of Winter is, the surrounding temperature drops sharply? It even gave me a cold. It's a pity, why is the Lord of Winter's face blocked by ice crystals? From the moment the Lord of Winter appeared, I knew this world was already different. Quote. Stark Tower, top floor. A blue light flashed, and the members of Team Y appeared. Medea, this short-range teleportation magic of yours is too useful. Medea, is this what you cast called Age of Gods magic? Medea, can you tell me about Age of Gods magic? Quote. The witch Medea raised her purple eyebrows, suppressed the rising emotions in her heart, and said in a calm tone, "It's just Age of Gods magic, not worth mentioning." Ha, Ethan, look who's here. Isn't this our recently hot superhero? Tony, who had been waiting for a long time, excitedly stepped forward and gave Yu Xian a hug. Yu Xian, I haven't seen you in a few days, and I've missed you so much. Beside them, Dr. Ethan was smiling as he watched the figure in front of him. Who is this beauty? Tony stared at the witch Medea beside Yu Xian, who was wearing a purple gauze dress, a golden necklace on her fair neck, and her long purple hair coiled up, revealing a look of surprise. The woman in front of him seemed to have an indescribable charm that made you uncontrollably want to understand and approach her. She is my newly recruited teammate. You can call her Medea. Stark Laboratory, Tony brought the members of Team Y to his mecha experimental base. Yu Xian, look at this. This is the Mark V briefcase armor I just developed. Thud. Tony carried a case and placed it in front of him. Yu Xian turned his gaze to Katarina. Katarina, why don't you try it? Captain, isn't this yours? Let me try, that wouldn't be good, right? Why so much nonsense? If I tell you to wear it, then wear it. From today on, this thing is yours. Katarina, watch closely, this is how you activate it. Tony stepped forward and pressed the button on the side of the case. Click, click, click. The black case unfolded instantly, and the metal components inside covered Katarina's whole body like flowing water. In less than 3 seconds, a set of armor decorated with pink, black, and gold patterns completely wrapped around her. I've also upgraded many functions for this set of armor, including a built-in AI intelligence system. You can give it a name. Tony looked at the armor in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. It was indeed crafted by his own hands, it looked great. I like it very much, thank you Mr. Tony and Captain. I changed the color scheme to pink, black, and gold. I hope you don't mind. How could I? I like it very much. Pink is the softness of protection, black is the blade of sanction, and gold is the light of redemption. This armor is the scale of good and evil. From today on, let's call it Valkyrie. Quote. Yu Xian looked at the two people studying the armor's functions and couldn't help but interrupt. Ahem. Wait, you two can discuss it later. There's plenty of time. I have other things to do here. Oh, what other things? Tony heard this and turned to look at Yu Xian, suppressing his desire to show off the armor, his face full of questions. It's about this. Didn't you say before that you wanted magic? I just happened to obtain some small items recently, and these should satisfy you. Yu Xian took out 3 blue light orbs from his bosom. They floated and rotated in Yu Xian's palm, emitting a faint blue light. Tony's eyes were immediately attracted by this strange sight, and he unconsciously took a few steps forward. What is this? The witch Medea on the side once again felt this unusual energy fluctuation, her beautiful eyes staring tightly at Yu Xian's back, not knowing what she was thinking. Since you are interested in magic, you can choose one to try. Of course, you can only choose one to use, each person can only use them once. I will explain the skill effects, so choose carefully, and don't regret it. The first one, psychokinesis. It can push objects under 10 jin, with a speed of up to 10 meters per second, and an effective range within 3 meters of the body. Rare blue skill. Move object. This skill is from the Irregular at Magic High School series, source, Hanoka Mitsui. The second one, water blade. It can launch a blade like water current, but it can only cut things like wooden boards, and it will disperse beyond 10 meters. Rare blue skill. Water blade. This skill is from the That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime series, source, the god tier skill used by Rimuru in the early stages. The third one, pyrokinesis. It can ignite a flame the size of a lighter at your fingertip. As for its offensive capability, don't expect too much. Rare blue skill. Pyrokinesis level 1. This skill is from the A Certain Magical Index series, source, a certain nameless low-level Esper, a student of Sakugawa Middle School. These light orbs, as long as I use them, can I directly obtain the corresponding ability. Tony looked at the 3 light orbs in Yu Xian's hand with excitement, touching them here and there. He walked around the 3 orbs a few times and suddenly laughed out loud. Honestly, compared to your ice magic and her teleportation magic, these pale in comparison. Don't be ungrateful. If these things were released to the outside world, you must know how much of a sensation they would cause. Yu Xian leaned lazily against the wall. Besides, the abilities of most power users depend on heaven, they are gifts from the heavens. How about it? Have you made your decision? Yu Xian looked at Tony's tangled expression and didn't urge him, waiting silently. After a while, Tony took a deep breath and finally said, I want all of these things. Whatever you want, just ask, as long as I can do it. Yu Xian was not surprised by Tony's answer. Any adult would make this decision, right? Moreover, he didn't intend to take back these 3 skills once he brought them out. Although he didn't have many of these skills that could be given to others to use, just because the person opposite him was Iron Man, it was worth it. Besides, he did indeed need to ask Tony for a favor. Of course, no problem. These 3 skills in exchange for a set of armor, and I also have a favor I need you to do. I need you to provide a medical laboratory, and as for the candidates for the Avengers, I have a new target. Yu Xian began to tell Tony his plan, telling him about the information regarding Banner. After Tony heard his plan, he didn't say a word and immediately agreed. No problem, these are small things. By the way, I'm quite curious, how do you plan to use these skills? Tony glanced at Yu Xian and chuckled, which left Yu Xian completely confused. He didn't understand what he was up to. Tony leaned close to his ear and whispered, I plan to leave the water blade for Pepper to use for self-defense, and the pyrokinesis for Ethan. As for the psychokinesis, of course, I'm keeping it for myself. Psychokinesis. With this ability, there are many positions I haven't tried yet that I can finally try. Yu Xian. Afternoon, Stark Tower. Host detected eating delicious food, mood is joyful, joy value plus 100. That's comfortable. Yu Xian patted his stomach, showing a satisfied expression. Team Y, who were freeloading food and drinks at Tony's place, were enjoying their after-meal dessert. Exquisite tiramisu, layers of cream and biscuits, a plate of lemon-flavored ice cream. Speaking of which, with your lazy personality, you're actually thinking of being a savior. This doesn't sound like the you I know. Are you plotting something bad behind the scenes again? For someone who never does anything without a profit motive to be this dedicated, this must be a very important matter, right? Tony, watching various videos of the Lord of Winter popping up on his phone, couldn't help but ask Yu Xian, who was eating ice cream and binge-watching a show nearby. Hey, of course there's a reason. I know. Finally, someone asked. Katerina, who had long been unable to hold back and was filled with the desire to vent, had her mouth running like it was smeared with honey, spilling out all of Yu Xian's plans. Tony, Pepper, and Ethan, who were nearby, all perked up their ears to listen. You guys don't know how dirty the captain's heart is. It turned out that the Lord of Winter in the news videos Tony was watching was not Yu Xian at all, but a fake played by the witch Medea using illusions from the Age of God's magic system. Of course, there was a part that was real, the Yu Xian flying in the sky. Through Katerina's narration, the three of them, Tony, Pepper, and Ethan, slowly learned of Yu Xian's conspiracy, a plan to recruit a hacker girl. The protagonist of the story, Sky, 20 years old, female, had been shuffled between orphanages since she was a child, as many as 23 of them. At 12, she taught herself programming at the Brooklyn Public Library, and at 15, she hacked into the New York power grid to retaliate against the orphanage that frequently cut off power, using Rising Tide as her hacker codename for the first time. Now, she drives a modified camper across North America, making a living by selling fake identities and cracking security systems. She is currently active in the Brooklyn slums. To recruit her, Yu Xian personally stepped onto the field, using his identity as the Lord of Winter as bait. He frequently exposed his tracks online and had Medea use illusions to play him, conducting various rescue activities in the Brooklyn area on his behalf. Fortunately, the witch Medea's innate skill Age of God's magic can cast ice-type magic, so there was no problem in having her act in Yu Xian's stead. Listening to the blonde girl's narration, Yu Xian secretly glanced at Medea and found no change in her expression, feeling a secret sense of relief. This person was still quite easy to talk to for now. Perhaps in their eyes, he was just trying to slack off and didn't want to work, which was why he pushed the business of saving people and punishing evil onto Medea, a proper tool person. But what they didn't understand was that he was doing this to help Medea find the meaning of her existence. Since she had a huge wound in her heart that couldn't be healed overnight, he could only use the various orders he gave her to make her feel needed, bit by bit, breaking through her solid psychological defenses. Although slacking off was what he wanted, this was the true reason he had set up this body double plan. Seeing Tony cast a look that said, "As I expected," Yu Xian knew he had misunderstood. Without explaining, Yu Xian secretly pondered whether there were any loopholes in the plan and if he needed to adjust it. The girl's narration continued. After Medea took action, she would leave some flaws and traces at the scene, and through the cat team led by Feifei in the intelligence unit, she would give the girl hints and guidance in an inadvertent manner, time and time again. Under these clues, if it were someone with high-level hacking skills, after careful investigation, they would be able to find a faint trail pointing directly to an abandoned factory in Brooklyn. And there, Yu Xian had placed a barrel of files that had been burned beyond recognition, but a little bit of information remained inside. This information was the address of Team Y's waterside villa, located north of Manhattan, next to the Hudson River. As soon as the girl Sky found this note and followed the address on it, a path of no return would await her. As for the subsequent plan, hearing this, Tony and the others were immediately shocked. God, Yu Xian, you guy, are you trying this hard now? Just for one person, you're worth going to such great lengths. If it were me, I would have gone up and invited her directly. If she refused, it must be that the price wasn't right. There is nothing in this world that can't be negotiated with money. If there is, it's definitely because not enough was offered. There was a sentence Tony didn't say out loud. This guy wouldn't have developed a psychological shadow because he invited Ethan before and was rejected, and then saw him invite Ethan to join Stark Industries, right? No, with this guy's personality, he wouldn't care about these small things. Probably. At this moment, Katerina stared intently at Yu Xian without saying a word. The girl blinked her large eyes rapidly, her gaze darting between Medea and Tony's group. She signaled him with her eyes. The blonde girl's original words were, "Captain, the rest involves the secret of Sister Medea's abilities." Can I say it? Yu Xian noticed the girl's gaze and immediately understood. It was no big deal, they and Tony were family, so he shouldn't worry. Yu Xian nodded and spoke up himself, "The rest of my plan is..." Flap, flap, a white owl flapped its wings and flew into everyone's sight from the window. It was none other than White Phoenix, one of Yu Xian's 3 major intelligence chiefs. Ku, ku, ku. Hello everyone. White Phoenix flew onto the coffee table opposite everyone, crossed its feet, placed its wings in front of its chest, and bowed slightly, greeting Tony and the others like an elegant gentleman. Amidst the amazed gazes of Tony and the others, White Phoenix expressed its purpose to Yu Xian. Ku, ku, ku. Master, the protagonist is ready. She has already obtained the most important information. She has already set off. Ku, ku, ku. Yes, it is estimated that she will arrive at the master's base in another hour. Hearing this, Yu Xian's eyes lit up, and he apologetically said to Tony and the others, "Sorry everyone, our protagonist is ready, and I should start building a stage for her to perform on." Tony, wait until next time. When you come next time, we'll talk in detail. Sure, it would be best if you bring this girl you value so much next time you come, so I can see with my own eyes who on earth has such great charm that it makes our Yu Xian go to such great lengths to obtain her. Haha, definitely. Medea, Katerina, let's go. In the rest area, a flash of magic circle light passed, and the 3 of them, Yu Xian, Medea, Katerina, along with the owl, completely disappeared from before Tony and the others. Tony looked at the empty space and sighed to himself, this teleportation array thing is really useful. 1 hour later, outside Team Y's waterside villa, a dilapidated, modified camper slowly pulled to a stop. The car door opened, and a petite girl jumped down. She was wearing a faded black leather jacket, a pair of ripped jeans, and a pair of heavily worn black marten boots on her feet. The girl looked around vigilantly. After confirming there was nothing unusual, she took a crumpled note out of her backpack and checked the address again. Waterside Villa. Is this the residence of the Lord of Winter? Waterside Villa, inside the courtyard. Sigh, Medea, mass teleportation is useful, but only being able to target one location is just too inconvenient. You need to work harder, keep at it. Strive to research a few more branches of Age of Gods magic, let's go for an all-around mage build. HMPH. Medea shot him a cold glance and gave a deadpan huff. An all-around mage build. Did he think Age of Gods magic was like cabbage, something you could just buy whenever you wanted? Didn't he know what his own situation was? If it weren't for this inexplicable restrictive force suppressing her strength, would she have been so easily slaughtered? Yu Xian nodded as he looked at the various arrangements before him. The stage was set, now, it was time to watch their performance. Ku, ku, ku. Master, Sky is in position, you may begin. White Phoenix landed on Yu Xian's left shoulder and pressed the power button. Medea, let's begin. Yu Xian activated his ice wings, took a step forward, and vanished amidst ripples in the air. Seeing this, the rest of Team Y followed suit, their figures swallowed by the air in front of them. Servant Caster, one of, Witch of Betrayal, Medea's inherent skills, territory creation, barrier setup. Place hidden barrier, capable of triple masking via optics, heat sources, and magical fluctuations, evading modern technological detection and causing the target to disappear from the ground. Waterside Villa, outer wall. Sky lay on the wall, looking inside. In an open space within the courtyard, she saw 2 women and 1 man, seemingly discussing something. But that wasn't important. What was important was what she had just seen. A pair of ice wings had suddenly appeared on that man's back. Was he the Lord of Winter? Wait, what was going on? How did they suddenly disappear? Sky, the young girl, watched the previously lively Dean instantly become cold and desolate. The shock, curiosity, unease, confusion, and other emotions in her heart surged forth like a bursting dam. Heavens, what was going on? Intense curiosity burned in Sky's soul, causing her to lose her reason for a moment. Driven by emotion, she turned to look at the unlocked courtyard gate nearby. Inch by inch, it was as if a beast had appeared in her heart. She climbed down from the wall, arrived before the unattended gate, looked at the doorknob within arm's reach, slowly reached out her hand, and pushed the door open. Step, step, step. The young girl stepped onto the path made of black galaxy granite, looking at the surrounding flowers, the fountain in the distance, the swimming pool at the end, and the pond connected to the Hudson River far away. All of this was something she had never possessed. In her life, darkness had always been the theme song. If I could also. Slap. Sky punched herself. What was wrong with her? Why was she so sentimental today? Sky shook her head, recalled her objective, and arrived at the scene of the incident. They disappeared right here. What on earth is going on? Sky stood in the spot where Yu Xian had been, but found no clues. Helpless, it seemed she would have to try it herself. Gritting her teeth, Sky slowly reached her right hand forward. Pop! Sky was amazed to see most of her right hand disappear in front of her. Heavens, how magical! The girl pulled her hand back, found no danger, and felt mostly relieved. Taking a firm step forward, her figure vanished from the spot. Dark, it's so dark. Sky reached out her hand and looked at her fingers, which were barely visible. Her heart was pounding. She looked into the distance and could vaguely see many pillars standing densely nearby. Looking further, a faint light entered her field of vision. Around the light, several blurry figures were gathered together, doing something. Sky suppressed the fear in her heart, carefully, inch by inch, finally creeping close to the figures. However, what she didn't know was that everywhere she passed, all the pillars silently changed positions, blocking the path she had come from. Using the pillars for cover, the girl peeked out. With the help of the faint light, she finally saw the appearances of the three people in the distance. The man had black clothes and black hair, with two long swords strapped to his waist. She could vaguely see his handsome face. To the man's left was a blonde girl, petite and cute, wearing casual clothes, with a fat cat at her feet. To the man's right was a purple-haired woman with delicate features and fair skin, paired with a purple dress that reflected the faint light, making even her, a woman, unable to resist wanting to look at her more. In front of them, the ground was covered in dense, twisted patterns, and a crimson magic circle was continuously releasing energy to the outside world. A man's voice faintly reached Sky's ears. Medea, how long can this summoned dragon-tooth warriors last? Yu Xian stared at the fish bones on the magic circle, lost in thought. Could it be that they would turn into fish-man-shaped dragon-tooth warriors? As long as the barrier is not withdrawn, the dragon-tooth warriors will continue to exist. Of course, with your current strength, you can summon 5 now. As your strength as master increases, you will be able to summon more. Alternatively, if these shackles restricting me are broken, it would be the same. As long as the dragon-tooth warriors are not destroyed within the range of the territory creation barrier skill, they can exist permanently. This is truly a great talent for guarding the house. Yu Xian's gaze covertly swept over the pillar where Sky was hiding, and he smiled inwardly. Since you've come in, you aren't leaving. Then let's begin. The witch Medea nodded and stepped forward, her purple robe rippling in the faint light. She extended her slender fingers and lightly touched the crimson magic circle on the ground. The scarlet patterns instantly doubled in brightness. In my name, the Witch of Betrayal, awaken the warriors sleeping in the earth. Dragon's teeth, transform into undying guardians. The fish bones in the center of the magic circle suddenly floated up and slowly rotated around their own axis. Strands of golden light seeped out from the gaps in the bones, circle after circle. In an instant, a humanoid form made of golden light appeared. As Medea continuously injected magic, the fish bones began to melt, twist, and deform. In the magic circle, the outline of the first dragon-tooth warrior gradually took shape. It didn't turn into the fish man Yu Xian had worried about, but instead presented a humanoid form. A blue-gray bone-like shell covered its entire body, and ghostly blue flames flickered in its hollow eye sockets. It held a sharp bone blade, and its whole body exuded an ancient aura. A moment later, the second, the third. The dragon-tooth warriors appeared one after another. They were different in shape. Some were as burly as mountains, others as agile as cheetahs. The 5 dragon-tooth warriors stood in a row, saluting Medea and Yu Xian in unison, then stood still, waiting for orders. Hiding behind the stone pillar, Sky watched this terrifying scene, feeling her scalp go numb. These bone warriors were even more spine-chilling than the monsters in Resident Evil. Just then, one of the dragon-tooth warriors suddenly turned its head, its ghostly blue gaze piercing like a sword directly at the stone pillar where Sky was hiding. At this tense moment, Sky was startled, her body suddenly reacting with a stress response, and she involuntarily retreated backward. With a bang, the girl's back slammed heavily against the pillar, followed immediately by the sound of an object falling from the air. Clatter tilde, it was the sound of porcelain shattering, sounding exceptionally harsh in the silent space. Sky, what's going on? What happened? Sky listened to the sound of breaking porcelain, her mind full of questions. She instinctively felt something was wrong and prepared to steady herself and retreat, but then, something even more maddening happened to her. The girl felt a sudden looseness behind her, and the pillar supporting her body behind her actually fell backward. Pillars can fall too. What? Bang, bang, bang. In the darkness, the girl faintly heard a series of collision sounds behind her, followed immediately by the sound of various utensils falling to the ground, shattering and breaking apart. Everything that happened in this short time instantly caused the girl's brain to crash. The girl subconsciously wanted to run, but found her feet frozen in place by confusion. Suddenly, click, the sound of a light turning on rang out. The hall lights all turned on, and the blinding light forced Sky to squint. After she adjusted to the light, the scene before her left Sky instantly dumbfounded. She had thought the mysterious space she entered was just a huge tent. She had thought the stone pillars standing in the space were just 2-meter-tall wooden circular display pillars. What made her heart beat even more violently was that each pillar held exquisite porcelain, which looked valuable at a glance. Her mood slowly plummeted to the bottom, and Sky looked back with a dull gaze. Sure enough, behind her was a row of knocked-over display pillars and porcelain shards all over the floor. Who is there? A young man's voice rang in Sky's ears. She pursed her lips, wearing an expression of wanting to cry but having no tears, and looked at the three figures that came before her. Sky understood that she seemed to have caused trouble. Yu Xian walked past Sky, who was squatting on the ground, picked up a piece of porcelain in front of her, looking heartbroken, his voice trembling slightly. This is the Ming Dynasty blue and white porcelain I painstakingly bought at a British royal auction. No tilde, don't tilde. He picked up another piece with gold trim, pain flashing in his eyes. This piece is William Hogarth's Royal Delft porcelain, a rare treasure from the 17th century in the Principality of the Tulips. And this, Yu Xian picked up a dark green shard with trembling hands, his expression even more sorrowful. This is Celadon from the Tang Dynasty Yu Kiln, a treasure from 1,000 years ago. The market price is at least 8 figures. Ah, Captain. Heavens, Captain, your favorite, Tears of the Moon Goddess crystal cup from the Republic of the Adriatic Sea has actually shattered too. Katerina watched Yu Xian's reaction, a beat slow, then looked shocked, pointing at a light blue crystal cup on the ground that had fallen into 2 halves. Yu Xian ignored Katerina's clumsy acting, pacing around Sky, occasionally picking up a shard, while muttering non-stop, "This one is $10,000. This one is $50,000. And this one is $70,000. Quote. Sky watched this bizarre scene. With her years of experience in the underworld, if she couldn't tell she had been set up, she would have wasted all those years. Thinking of this, Sky recalled the inexplicable feeling she had while collecting information on the Lord of Winter these past few days. Whenever she was about to fall into confusion, it seemed there was always a force silently helping her, allowing her to find more clues about the Lord of Winter. And remembered the piece of paper in her pocket, burned to a scrap, retaining only the address information. How could she not know she had been calculated to death? But what she couldn't understand was where she had offended the other party, that they would go to such lengths to frame her. These shattered utensils were all treasures, they were used just to deal with her. And the hidden cameras all around, giving her absolutely no way out. Was it just because she had found out about the Lord of Winter? Could those upper-class people not allow someone like her to touch taboos? Sky thought to this point, silent, thinking that the clues she had worked so hard to find were actually specially fed to her. And thinking that she might suffer inhumane abuse next, and that from now on there might be one less girl named Sky in the world, she felt a wave of sorrow. Why on earth was all this happening? Why did the world have to treat her so cruelly? Her biological parents didn't want her, the children in the orphanage shunned her. She grew up through hardship, had seen too much of life's sordidness, had seen too much injustice and resentment. She only wanted to survive, only wanted to know information about her biological parents, only wanted to know the truth buried by the world. What exactly had she done wrong? God, how could he treat her like this? As for resisting, thinking of those fierce dragon-toothed warriors in her mind, she had no desire to escape. Forget it, let it be, how much worse could it get? It was just jumping from one hell into another. Yu Xian saw that the emotional buildup was about right, took the collected porcelain shards, and placed them in front of the silent, head-bowed Sky. Hey, who are you? How did you get in? Don't you know this is a private residence? And this time, you've committed a major offense, do you know that? Hearing the voice from the other side as expected, Sky, whose excitement from before coming and fear upon seeing the fierce dragon-toothed warriors had all dissipated, looked up at Yu Xian, who was wearing a pained expression, and said with dull eyes. What do you want? My life. Have I touched a taboo in this world that cannot be touched? Quote. Yu Xian watched the girl Sky babbling and secretly speculated in his heart, it seems, did he overplay it? However, it was no big deal. The girl was just too surprised right now, he would compensate her later, poor Sky. Ahem, unknown girl. The things you damaged are truly not few. I roughly calculated it, altogether it should be $1.1 million you have to compensate for this. Of course, seeing that you don't look like you have much money, I will reluctantly help you reduce the pressure a bit, let's call it $1 million. Sky's mouth twitched, her face bloodless. I don't have that much money. No money. That's great if you have no money. Yu Xian instantly produced a contract from who knows where and placed it in front of the girl, then, come on. Sign this 30-year contract, and you can work to pay off the debt. Your body is mine from now on. Yes, from now on my tool team has happily acquired another member, and I am one step closer to my path of slacking off. Moreover, now Team Y, with the four of us, myself, Katarina, Medea, and Sky, can just form a table to play mahjong. Hehe, the goal I've been thinking about for so long has finally been achieved. Hey, men, isn't it just that he's taken a fancy to my looks? Sky looked at the other party with a dull gaze. Looking into his clear black eyes, she had a feeling that it was as if she had no secrets in front of this man. There were two paths in front of her now. One was to sign the contract and become this guy's dog. The other was to refuse and not sign. The other party didn't explicitly state what the consequences of not signing were, but Sky could roughly guess, it wouldn't be a good ending anyway, prison or death. But she couldn't be trapped, she couldn't die, she still had too many things she wanted to do. Her biological parents, the secrets of the world, and the abnormalities inside her own body. The girl Sky bit her lip, and in an instant, it seemed she recalled her entire life. A trace of tears flashed in Sky's eyes. She stretched out her hands, trembling, took the contract Yu Xian placed in front of her, didn't look at it closely, and signed her name on it with a swish swish swish. Just after she finished signing, Sky summoned the last bit of her courage to voice to the other party, you cannot force me when I don't want to. Otherwise, I'd rather die. This was the girl's last bit of stubbornness. And at the same time, Yu Xian's voice and the girl's voice rang out simultaneously, indistinguishable, blending with each other. Welcome to Join Shield, Team Y. I am the captain, Yu Xian. The girl Sky stared blankly at the hand Yu Xian extended in front of her, looking at the smiling Yu Xian, Katarina, Medea, Feifei. I don't know why, but now she just wanted to cry. Rumble. On the luxurious private jet heading to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Yu Xian lay lazily on the leather sofa, swirling the champagne glass in his hand. The interior of the luxury private jet was opulent. With gold and white decor, spacious cabins furnished with several comfortable sofas, and a solid wood dining table in the center, laden with exquisite dishes and expensive drinks. Host detected enjoying food, mood is pleasant, pleasure value plus 100. Snap. Yu Xian snapped his fingers at the flight attendant, signaling for another serving of foie gras and bread. Katarina sat in the corner, clutching the mission files tightly, her expression serious. Captain, we are going to execute a mission, not a vacation. These luxuries are completely unnecessary. Are you sure this is an official business trip? Katarina frowned, her fingers tapping on the mission briefing. SHIELD's budget isn't that generous. Yu Xian took a sip of red wine, his gaze sweeping over the rim of the glass toward her. Lesson 1 of slacking off. Never build your own comfort on the organization's expenses. This is a private jet I borrowed from Tony, it doesn't cost much. And, Yu Xian smiled, haven't the stock earnings been enough? It's already multiplied several times, hasn't it? People need to know how to enjoy life. When you're dead, the money's still there. What a huge pity that would be in life. Sky, sitting to the side, looked around curiously. This was her first time riding in such a luxurious private jet. Everything around her gave her an unreal feeling. It was hard to imagine that just a few days ago, she was struggling to get by in a dilapidated van. Sky picked up a small cake, took a cautious bite, and her eyes immediately lit up. Sky, come try this, foie gras made by a top chef. Yu Xian casually picked up a piece of bread, spread a thick layer of foie gras on it, and handed it to Sky. Sky took the food, devoured it, and a satisfied smile appeared on her face. I've never eaten anything so delicious. But, are we going on vacation or catching people for this mission? Is traveling for SHIELD missions always this enjoyable? Sky was obviously experiencing this kind of treatment for the first time and was curious about everything. It had been 2 days since Sky signed the indentured contract. And under the guidance of Katerina and Medea, she wasn't as afraid anymore. On the contrary, she was quite excited. SHIELD, there are so many secrets hidden inside. Both. Yu Xian put down his wine glass. The mission is to find Dr. Banner and assess the possibility of him joining the Avengers, and also, by the way, to stop General Ross and dispel his desire for Banner. Medea sat quietly in the corner, holding the intelligence files provided by SHIELD, resting them on her lap, her hands gently lifting her long purple hair. After we arrive, I will cast a barrier spell to hide our tracks. Katerina began to pull up data on her tablet. We must get there before them. General Ross's special forces are already active in Brazil. This guy is hunting Banner like a hunter stalking prey. What's the rush? Yu Xian waved his hand, signaling there was no need to be nervous. Don't worry, I know where to find Banner. Just follow me. I'll carry us through this mission. I remember in the Marvel plot, Banner was in a beverage factory in Rio de Janeiro. But I forgot what it was called. Sky, your hacking skills will come in handy later. After the plane landed, Team Y checked into the most luxurious seaside hotel in Rio de Janeiro. Katerina wanted to start the operation immediately, but was stopped by Yu Xian. Here are your room keys, penthouse suites, with 24-hour service. Spa, massage, the whole package. Yu Xian distributed the cards to the team members. Remember, the motto of Team Y is, outsource the work, handle the slacking yourself. I will teach you well how to better slack off and enjoy life. Sky took the room key, raising her eyebrows. So we're just sitting here waiting for intelligence? Yu Xian shook his head. Of course not. When it's time for you to act, I will naturally let you go. Contacting Banner requires patience and skill. If we rush into his safe zone, we will only alert him and cause resistance. And as for intelligence, with a hacking expert like you here, there really is something for you to do. Subsequently, Yu Xian stated the beverage factory is a possible location for Banner, asking Sky to check whether there were troops around these beverage factories, and to issue a warning the moment she discovered any military presence. At the same time, the Dango Dango fruit and Whisper Whisper fruit abilities were activated, instantly controlling the birds within a few hundred meters, letting them fly in all directions towards the various beverage factories. An hour later, a white dove flew in from outside the window, landed on Yu Xian's shoulder, and let out a series of low chirps. Coo, 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 boss, boss, found him, found him, found him. Yu Xian pricked up his ears, listening to the dove's report, and showed a satisfied smile. Very good, I've found which beverage factory Banner works at. Katerina stood up immediately upon hearing this. Let's go contact him now. Yu Xian shook his head. No, first we. Just then, Sky suddenly said. Got it, I found a special signal near this beverage factory. It must be the special forces you mentioned. Oh, it seems the timing is just right. The other side should start their operation tonight. Yu Xian looked at the clock. It was only 10 in the morning. Too early. It seems he still had plenty of time to indulge before the operation. Yu Xian's mouth curled up slightly as he looked at the members of Team Y. Everyone, let's go soak in the hot springs together. Everyone, rest well, recharge your energy. Tonight, I'll take you to see a good show. Host detected planning to soak in hot springs during work. Mood is pleasant, pleasure value plus 100. Rio de Janeiro, Port Real Hotel, Spa area. Ah tilde so comfortable tilde. Yu Xian, wearing a white bathrobe and holding a bottle of milk, was enjoying the service of a masseuse on a massage recliner. The remaining 3 members of Team Y, Medea, Katerina, and Sky, were on either side of Yu Xian, also enjoying massage services. Medea, dressed in a light purple silk bathrobe, reclined halfway on the massage bed. Her delicate collarbones were faintly visible, and her long purple hair was coiled up high, revealing her fair, slender neck. The masseuse's technique gradually relaxed her tense muscles, and with her eyes slightly closed, her face, usually tense, rarely displayed a hint of comfort. Katerina had completely let go, lying on the massage bed in a pink and black bathrobe, emitting satisfied groans. Her blonde hair was scattered across the pillow. Awesome, this technique is so much better than SHIELD's medical department. Sky, beside her, appeared somewhat reserved. This was her first time experiencing a high-end massage. The young hacker girl, dressed in a white bathrobe, exposed her slender calves and ankles, secretly biting her lip to endure the sensations under the female masseuse's skillful technique. Captain, what is our plan? Are we protecting Dr. Banner? Or fighting against General Ross's special forces? Katerina looked at the clock on the wall. It was already 6 in the evening. They had been eating and drinking like this all day. The blonde girl couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Heavens, they were on duty right now. If she continued like this, wouldn't she become the kind of captain she hated most? Katerina, you must resist the temptation. Plan. Yu Xian slowly opened his tightly closed eyes. Seeing the blonde girl looking at him, Sky secretly pricking up her ears, and Medea pretending to be indifferent, he pondered for a moment. We just need to step in and help Banner at the most critical moment. It can deepen his favor towards us, and it will also let that guy Ross taste the consequences of provoking Banner, making him give up on his ideas about Banner. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Night quietly descended upon Rio de Janeiro. Under the night sky, the residential area near the beverage factory was peaceful. Dr. Banner's small apartment was located on the top floor of a dilapidated apartment building. Fast asleep, he did not know that his location had been exposed. Below the dilapidated apartment building, more than 20 heavily armed Special Forces soldiers quietly surrounded the entire building. These soldiers were dressed in black tactical gear, equipped with tranquilizer guns and electric shock weapons, and were executing the pre-planned operation in a well-trained manner. Are the snipers in position? General Ross asked over his headset. Yes, General, all 3 positions are in place. A persistent glint flashed in General Ross's eyes. Very good, remember my order. Capture Banner alive if possible, but if he starts to transform, use the special tranquilizer rounds immediately. I won't let him get away this time. Bronsky, begin the operation. At the same time, Yu Xian and the team members were observing the situation from the rooftop of a nearby high-rise building. Look, Ross has brought special forces. They plan to break in from 3 directions simultaneously. Sky monitored the military channel's communications through her tablet, hearing all of General Ross's deployments. They are preparing to use a special tranquilizer to control Dr. Banner. Katerina watched the figures moving below, eager to act. Captain, is it time for us to step in? Yu Xian was leisurely eating chocolate ice cream, casually handing the empty cup to Medea, and shook his head. Wait a little longer. Banner isn't in a desperate situation yet. The group upstairs saw the figures below begin to move. It was the squad led by Bronsky. Sky watched the well-trained army clear the obstacles in front of them, step by step reaching the door of Banner's room, and began to break down the door. Bang! Sharp-eyed, she suddenly saw a figure jump out of the window and flee downstairs. It was Bruce Banner. He looked slightly panicked at this moment, desperately trying to shake off the pursuers behind him. Hey, Captain, Dr. Banner has come out. Are we chasing him or not? What do you think? Of course, we're chasing. In a narrow and damp alley, a figure was running wildly. Bruce Banner's heart was pounding like a drum, his body running forward desperately. On both sides of the alley were mottled, peeling walls, randomly covered with incomprehensible graffiti. The dim light of the street lamps barely penetrated the pervasive mist, casting shadows of varying lengths on the wet ground. I knew something would go wrong. I can't stay in this place anymore. Banner darted back and forth in the alley. Seeing that there were no signs of pursuers behind him, bang! At the corner, Bronsky suddenly appeared and grazed Banner with a shot. Thump, thump, thump. Excited and frightened, Banner's heart beat violently and continuously. 150, 151, 152. Huff tilde. Banner adjusted his breathing, exchanged a glance with Bronsky across the street, and took advantage of the flow of people to flee deeper into the adjacent alley. 158, 159, 160. Captain, where is this guy going to run? Looking at Dr. Banner's position, he should be fleeing towards the soda factory. Hey, Dr. Banner is a bit unlucky. he even bumped into a few hooligans on the way. Look, the hooligans are chasing him. On top of the residential building, under the cover of Medea's invisibility barrier, the members of Team Y followed behind Banner silently like assassins in the dark. Yu Xian, dressed in black, squatted at the corner of the building, holding an orange in his hand, eating it one segment at a time with great relish. Hearing his teammates chatting behind him, he chuckled. These few hooligans were truly courting death, they just had to find trouble with Banner. Even God couldn't save you now. Master, I sense a powerful energy emerging from that human ahead. I sense a force of extreme anger. If this power is completely unleashed, this place will likely be razed to the ground. Medea's eyes emitted a faint purple light as she observed the deep red energy contained within Banner's body. This is the powerful force caused by the genetic mutation from gamma rays. Yu Xian was surprised that Medea would take the initiative to ask him. This was a good start. Hey, they're fighting. Inside the soda factory. Don't come over. Banner was blocked by 3 hooligans. Just as he wanted to force his way out, his body was grabbed by the hooligans who stepped forward, and with a bang, he was slammed into the shelves behind him. The leader of the hooligans stood in front of Banner with an angry face. Not so arrogant now, please let me go. Getting angry, will be very troublesome. Hey, it'll be even more troublesome if I get angry. Beep, beep, beep. The heart rate monitor in Banner's hand began to sound an alarm. 192, 193, 194. Just as Banner was talking to the hooligan leader, his peripheral vision suddenly caught the figures of soldiers appearing on the glass above the soda factory. Before he could react, bang! A crisp gunshot pierced through the noise of the factory, and a special tranquilizer needle precisely pierced into Banner's back. 199, 200. A moment later, a wild, beastly roar erupted from inside the soda factory. Roar, roar. The roar was as deafening as a divine punishment from the god of thunder, clearly audible even from a kilometer away. Hidden in the shadows, Team Y watched the scene quietly from a high vantage point. The moonlight poured down onto the surface like liquid silver, illuminating the roof of the high-rise apartment building where Team Y was hiding. This building was just one street away from the soda factory, offering a wide field of vision that allowed them to clearly see the commotion inside. Yu Xian leaned lazily against the concrete railing at the edge of the rooftop. The hot night wind howled overhead. His trench coat flapped loudly in the warm breeze. Staring at the movement downstairs, he muttered to himself, "It is time to give General Ross a wake-up call." The members of Team Y on the rooftop watched the rare scene unfolding below while chatting and laughing. They watched Banner transform into Hulk. They saw Hulk begin to strike with heavy blows. They saw him punch the hooligan away in a fit of rage. They saw him wreak havoc among the squad led by Bronski. And watched him disappear into the darkness and retreat, leaving Bronski in a state of terror. Having finished watching this grand spectacle, the members of Team Y exploded with reactions. God, Captain, is this the target we are supposed to protect? Did the director eat too much Nick Fury, or is his brain not working? Does this guy even need our protection? It would be more like him protecting us, wouldn't it? Katerina stared at Yu Xian with a look of disbelief, her heart filled with shock. What the hell is this thing? This combat power, isn't it stronger than the captain? The blonde girl's mind was now filled with the faint green light that appeared in Dr. Banner's eyes. She couldn't stop thinking about his greenish skin, bulging muscles, and the image of the green muscular giant whose clothes were all torn away, leaving only a pair of underpants. Recalling how the angry giant seemed to take out his enemies like he was swatting flies, enduring the army's various shells while destroying everything in front of him. She could vaguely understand why the director wanted to recruit Dr. Banner into the Avengers. A character like this, capable of easily destroying an army, needs to be kept under close watch to be truly at ease. Is this the true face of the hidden world? Sky, as a member of Rising Tide, quietly watched the destroyed soda factory in front of her. Steel pipes several meters high were bent, and storage tanks were crushed, revealing massive punch marks. The hacker girl thought back to how Banner's body rapidly inflated like a balloon as he turned into the sun of rage. Her mood rose and fell violently, like riding a roller coaster. The girl felt fortunate once again in her heart for having signed that 30-year contract of servitude. If she hadn't signed this contract, she might never have encountered these extraordinary sights in her entire life. Moreover, recalling the casual chats between Captain Yu Xian and his teammates earlier. The dark side of this world actually contains many super-powered individuals or powerful humans. Some use technology, some are genetic mutants, and others are naturally awakened ability users. This world is truly too exciting, if only I could become one of them. This power. As a genius mage from the Age of Gods, the witch Medea sensed that there was still immense power within that retreating green figure that had yet to be released. Yet, relying only on this sliver of energy that had been unleashed, he had raised everything before him to the ground. If he could further stimulate the potential within his body, entering the demigod realm would be simple, and even the level of a main god would not be impossible. The witch's beautiful purple eyes stared intently at the retreating figure. If only she could control this power, her Age of Gods magic would improve further, and she might be able to break through the shackles of a demigod and reach the realm of the gods. However, for now, she still needed to make that lazy guy improve his strength as soon as possible to cut the shackles that bound her. Yu Xian felt a cold current suddenly rise from his skin, as if he were being watched by an inexplicable gaze. He looked back but didn't notice anything unusual. Sky and Katarina were discussing and reviewing the event with great interest, while Medea's gaze was directed into the distance. How strange. Could it be that I ate too much and upset my stomach? Forget it, never mind. Since Banner has already retreated, it is time for us to make our entrance. Ladies, let's go, it's time for us to make our entrance. Slum, temporary military command post. Officer, who exactly are you asking us to capture? What exactly happened there just now? How could something so big suddenly appear and attack us? That fool threw a forklift as easily as throwing a softball. Do you know something? General Ross silently watched his subordinate Bronsky's interrogation, remaining silent. After a long while, his eyes met Bronsky's. As you can see, that thing is Banner. You performed well just now. Have everyone pack up, we are going back. Without explaining why, General Ross left amidst Bronsky's gaze, which was mixed with shock, jealousy, and ambition, and went to the rooftop alone to get some air. Ross stood on the rooftop, looking at the night view outside, heavy with thoughts, when a sudden voice rang out from the roof. As expected of General Ross, to remain so calm in the face of failure. Suddenly hearing the mocking voice, Ross narrowed his eyes and silently pressed his right hand onto the grip of the gun at his waist. He turned around abruptly and saw 4 distinct figures standing at the edge of the rooftop under the moonlight. The man in the front was crouching in a lazy posture, his hands resting on the unsheathed long sword supported behind his neck. The pose looked exactly like the iconic stance of Sun Wukong on his journey to the west. The night wind blew through his black hair, but it could not conceal those abyss-like eyes that seemed to pierce through everything. Behind him stood 3 women, each with their own distinct characteristics. On the left was a woman wearing a long purple dress. The long dress danced in the breeze, and a purple veil partially covered her face. Combined with her purple eyes and purple hair, she was filled with a mysterious aura that did not belong to the modern era. On the right was a mecha girl. She was wrapped in light combat mecha of pink, black, and gold. It outlined her perfect body curves. At a glance, it bore a striking resemblance to the Iron Man armor seen in the news. The last one was a black-haired girl wearing a smiley face mask, holding a tablet computer in her hand, her fingers sliding quickly across the screen. Who exactly are you? What do you want? Ross questioned the 4 people in front of him, secretly trying to alert his subordinates outside. Us, General Ross, we are an agent team affiliated with S.H.I.E.L.D. Team Y, S.H.I.E.L.D. General Ross looked at the figures above and fell into deep thought. As an organization also belonging to the U.S., occupying a high position, he certainly knew of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s existence. This international intelligence organization, which ostensibly fell under the jurisdiction of the United Nations Security Council, though the U.S. held a dominant position within it, could not be called upon to use its power. They had actually always skirted the edges of power in various countries, and even a military general like himself found it difficult to grasp the true scope of their operations. What infuriated him even more was that those agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were like dogs that smelled a scent. They could discover any anomaly, and often, not long after an incident occurred, they would always stick their noses in at a critical moment. Could it be this time? Is that one-eyed fury trying to snatch my prey again? General Ross gritted his teeth inwardly, recalling the several unpleasant experiences of clashing with S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past. Whenever the military was about to master some strategic weapon or superpower, S.H.I.E.L.D. would always forcibly intervene on the grounds of global security. He hadn't expected the other party to come looking for him during this time period. Had his plan already been leaked? No, that wasn't the point. The point was, what was their purpose in appearing? Would it affect his plan to capture Banner? General Ross's thoughts raced, and he frowned slightly as he looked at the man in the lead. What exactly does S.H.I.E.L.D. want to do? Naturally, we want to make a bet with General Ross, and the stake is the departure or stay of Dr. Banner. If we win, Dr. Banner will come with us, and furthermore, you will no longer be allowed to trouble Dr. Banner again, nor may you affect his life. If you win, we, S.H.I.E.L.D., will no longer meddle in anything regarding Banner, and we will help you research the super soldier serum together. How about it? I wonder if General Ross has any interest in this. If you think we are lying to you. As the man said this, he slowly extended a hand. Click, click, click. In an instant, an ice lotus formed from cold ice slowly bloomed and rotated in the man's hand. This is. General Ross looked at this miraculous scene in shock, staring blankly at this sight that was like a miracle. This was the thing he wanted to obtain. Power, super strength. As long as he could control this power, he could stand out in the global arms race and create a position of absolute military advantage for himself. S.H.I.E.L.D., the thing he craved. If a little bit of something could flow out from their hands, why would he have to go to such lengths to capture Banner? This was an excellent opportunity, an opportunity to get S.H.I.E.L.D. involved. State your terms. How do you want to bet? Yu Xian watched the moved General Ross and did not hesitate to state the terms of the bet he had already set. General, aren't you conducting the Super Soldier Serum project? Let's bet on the success or failure of this project of yours. As long as you can create a controllable super soldier, that means we lose, and if the super soldier you create is uncontrollable, then we win. Simple, right? How about it? Do you bet, General? Hearing this, General Ross was overjoyed. He had prepared this project for a long time, and he was very confident that he could create a controllable super soldier. However, there was still one obstacle. The progress of the experiment was still missing the blood samples from Banner's body. Fine, but I need Banner on my side. Of course, no problem. Since the bet is set, before the bet ends, we will not interfere with any of your actions, letting you lose with conviction. In fact, we will even provide you with some help during this process. Good, as long as you don't affect me, then the bet is established from now on. After this, you are not allowed to hinder any of my actions regarding Banner. Deal. General Ross was overjoyed upon hearing this, fearing the other party might go back on their word. He had absolute confidence in this bet. This loss, this guy from S.H.I.E.L.D., you've got it coming. Yu Xian looked at the overjoyed General Ross below and knew that the other side was full of confidence in this bet. Coincidentally, so was he. Moreover, the help he mentioned to General Ross was not just talk. Later on, it was truly possible to help him complete the super soldier serum early, letting him taste the bitter fruit of failure. Since the bet was set, it was time for him to go see Banner. Then, General Ross, until we meet again. Host's mood detected as joyful, pleasure value plus 100. Yu Xian signaled Medea with his eyes. A pale purple light suddenly lit up from beneath the feet of the team members, and a short distance teleportation magic circle appeared. Swish. Under the moonlight, the team members who were in front of General Ross a second ago disappeared collectively the next moment, as if they had never been there. Ding, ding, and S.H.I.E.L.D. emblem fell to the ground, rolling to General Ross's feet. This was the token of the bet that Yu Xian left for him when he departed. In the slums, on the roof of a building. Captain, are you that confident? If we fail, we won't be able to complete the mission the director assigned to our team. Rest assured, I am the top performer in S.H.I.E.L.D. My mission success rate is 100%. Now, let's go see our Banner. Flutter, flutter. In the night sky, a shadow flashed and landed on Yu Xian's shoulder. Coo, coo, coo. Boss, that green guy isn't moving anymore, he's passed out. That's perfect, let's continue our operation. No, don't try to provoke me. Big trouble will happen, let me go. Quote. The morning sun shone on Banner's face, his eyeballs moving constantly. Swish. Banner opened his eyes suddenly. Where is this? Banner looked at the surrounding environment in confusion, looking at the clean white quilt on his body, feeling the soft touch coming from beneath him. He found it difficult to identify where he was for a moment. He blinked, his vision gradually focusing, and he saw everything around him clearly. At this moment, the warm sunlight was shining obliquely through the gaps in the floor-to-ceiling windows, dispelling a trace of the fear Banner felt at being in an unfamiliar place. This looked like a luxury suite in a 5-star hotel. Banner looked at the crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling, looked at the thick white wool carpet on the floor in the distance, and looked at the plate of fresh fruit, a pot of hot tea, and a breakfast dessert placed on the solid wood table on the right, feeling that it was so unreal. "Where is this?" Banner muttered to himself, the chaotic scenes of last night flashing back in his mind, the soda factory, the special forces, those provocative thugs, and the final transformation. But how did he remember that after he escaped, if he remembered correctly, he should have collapsed in the forest? How did he appear in this place? Could it be that someone brought him here? What was their purpose? Could it be that guy General Ross? No, no way, that guy would never bring him into such a place. If it were him, only a prison cell would be his destination. It seemed that the person who brought him to this place didn't seem to have any malice. No, perhaps they were also a group like General Ross, people who knew his value and wanted to build a war machine. "You're finally awake, Dr. Banner." Just as Banner was letting his imagination run wild, the door to the room opened. He saw a very young Asian youth with black hair and black eyes, holding a bag of nuts in his hand, entering while eating. "Good morning, Dr. Banner." Yu Xian walked over and sat on the room's sofa, disregarding the confusion in Banner's small eyes. The soft touch of the sofa made Yu Xian let out a comfortable groan. Comfortable. Clang, clang, clang. Outside the door, Sky took the food from the staff and volunteered to push it into the room. Following closely behind were the sisterly witch Medea and the passionate Katerina Allen. On the bed, Bruce Banner stared blankly at the people walking in one after another, watching as they acted as if he didn't exist, starting to eat breakfast right in front of him. "Wow, Captain, this puff is not bad. Yeah, and this cheese bread made with tapioca flour and Minas cheese, it's really delicious." Banner watched them enjoy their breakfast. Omelets, bacon, sausages, roasted tomatoes, sautéed mushrooms, papaya, mango, pineapple, passion fruit, guava, Greek yogurt, granola, chia seeds. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Banner couldn't help but drool, and his stomach let out a series of groans. Perhaps because he was extremely hungry, Yu Xian and the others a few meters away heard it clearly. Seeing them look back, Banner couldn't help but blush deeply. He was fortunate that after years of running around to avoid the military's pursuit, his skin was no longer fair, so just looking at his face, his embarrassment wasn't obvious. And the fact that they ignored him made his curiosity grow even stronger. Who exactly were these people? Why did they save him? Actually, Banner was overthinking it. Yu Xian and the others ignored Banner simply because of the team rules set by Yu Xian. The first rule of Team Y: when enjoying food, work must not be discussed under any circumstances unless necessary, and the mood for enjoying food must not be ruined. As for why Dr. Banner didn't count as a necessary circumstance, it was naturally because he couldn't join Yu Xian's team, so to Yu Xian, he didn't have much appeal. His ideal targets were those who could join his team and act as lackeys for him. And it would be even better if they could warm his bed at night. Ever since Medea appeared, he hadn't gone to the red light district to farm pleasure points for a long time. Sure enough, once you've seen the vast sky, you lose interest in the grass by the roadside. When would he be able to let Medea? Better not think about these things. Fortunately, the pleasure points gained from teasing Medea every day were not much different from going to the red light district. This was also not bad. The charm of 2D characters lies right here. After a long while, the team finally finished breakfast amidst the lively atmosphere. Yu Xian exhaled a breath of stale air, his whole body exuding a lazy aura. He straightened up with a stretch, left the soft sofa, and came to Banner's bedside. "Dr. Banner, did you rest well last night? Let me introduce myself. I am S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent Yu Xian." Banner looked at the young man in front of him, confusion in his eyes. "S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, perhaps Dr. Banner doesn't know what S.H.I.E.L.D. does yet. Simply put, S.H.I.E.L.D. is the abbreviation for Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division. And SHIELD is a special unit established by the World Security Council specifically to deal with all kinds of strange events. Specifically for handling abnormal events, like you, Bruce Banner. Handle me. Banner's heart skipped a beat, and a bad premonition arose. Could it be, they want to kill me? Of course, Dr. Banner, don't feel any psychological pressure. We received orders to come and assist you. Help me. What can you help me with? Can you help me escape this unfortunate fate? Can you make me return to normal? A hint of excitement appeared in Banner's eyes. Could it be? Sorry, Dr. Banner, we cannot do that. The only thing we can do is to let you control your own power. And use this hard-won power to help others. But I can barely protect myself right now, and I'm still being hunted by the military. Don't worry about that, Doctor. We already have a plan. Just follow your own plan, and we will silently watch over you from the shadows. After this period passes, everything will naturally move in a better direction. Doesn't Dr. Banner want to see his girlfriend, Betty Ross? Don't you want to stop hiding and running, and be able to walk down the street openly in the future? Don't you want to live a normal life? A normal life. Can I still go back now? Of course, Doctor, as long as you trust us. However, it might be too early to talk about this suddenly. Let's take it one step at a time. Doctor, you will see our sincerity. Yu Xian looked at Banner, who was bowing his head in thought, and didn't continue. He had said enough for now. Given Banner's current state of extreme paranoia, it was better to proceed gradually and slowly earn his trust. As for the bet with General Ross, it wasn't the time to tell him yet. If he started seeing him like Ross, a lunatic with only weapons and war in his eyes and mind, that would be troublesome. Doctor, eat first, think it over slowly, and see if you want to accept us. Yu Xian placed the snacks by the bed in front of Banner and turned to leave, giving Banner time to think alone. Before leaving, he seemed to remember something and said to Banner, Dr. Banner, do you want to return to the US? We have a private jet. And you can go back whenever you want. You are now free, and you can go wherever you want. Banner looked at the breakfast in front of him, thinking that he could finally go back, and his emotions were extremely complex. The longing to see his girlfriend, wondering how the blood sample sent to Mr. Blue was doing, thinking of. Rumble, 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 his stomach protested to Banner once again. This time, Banner didn't hesitate. He grabbed the food in front of him and started devouring it in big mouthfuls. His gaze also gradually became firm. No matter what, he had to go back now. He wanted to see the people he hadn't seen for years, who had only remained in his memories. He had to find a way to solve his problem. Captain, it seems we have already gained the preliminary approval of Dr. Banner. Sky looked at Yu Xian's back in front of her, still harboring some small doubts in her heart. As a rising tide hacker, her sensitivity to information was definitely stronger than that of an ordinary person. For example, why did she feel that the captain seemed to be withholding some key information from the team? For instance, why didn't he tell Banner about the bet, and why was he so certain that he would win? Where exactly was his breakthrough point? And so on. She couldn't figure it out. This, Lord of Winter, in front of her was truly mysterious. Even though she had been with the team for a while, she still hadn't discovered the hidden secrets on this man. Thud. Lost in thought, Sky didn't notice the figure in front had stopped, and she bumped right into his back. Captain, why did you stop? Sky, have you always wanted to find information about your biological parents? When this mission ends, let's go look for them together. As it happens, I know where to find the relevant clues. Sky was plunged into immense shock, never expecting to hear a glimmer of a clue about her parents at this very moment. Sky said with a trembling voice, Captain, you know information about my parents. How is that possible? You're only a few years older than me, how could you know? Hearing the young girl's questioning from behind, Yu Xian turned around, his eyes staring straight into her hopeful yet fearful pupils, and said, Of course, when have I ever lied? Besides, I wouldn't joke about something like this. As for the secret of how I obtained this information, please forgive me for not being able to tell you. Okay, Captain, I believe you. Then I'll wait for the good news you bring me after this mission ends. Yu Xian looked at the joy the young girl was secretly hiding in front of him and sighed inwardly. It wasn't a whim. Currently, as an ordinary person, Sky's abilities were truly limited, and her help to him was too little. In this Marvel world where supervillains appeared at the drop of a hat, being an ordinary person was simply too dangerous. As the world progressed, it would become increasingly dangerous. If there ever came a time when he wasn't by her side and couldn't protect her in time, she needed to have her own means of self-preservation. Once the Hulk incident was over, he would begin preparing for Sky's journey to explore her heritage and unlock the energy hidden within her. Let Quake appear in the world ahead of schedule. Furthermore, a system panel suddenly appeared before Yu Xian's eyes. Host, Yu Xian, pleasure points, 168,900. Abilities. Gold, Shinigami Series, Hirenmaru 3 stars, JoJo Series, Stand Ability, Star Platinum 2 stars, Marvel Series, Wolverine Regeneration, Fate Series, Servant Contract, Caster Medea 1 star, total accumulated pleasure points, 980,910. Thinking back to when he reached 500,000 points last time, he was gifted a gold skill chest. Now, he was less than 20,000 away from a million pleasure points, and he would be able to draw another reward. Coupled with the rewards from after the Iron Man arc ended, he estimated he could have another limited time event this time. He just didn't know what rewards this lottery event could offer. Would it be the same as last time? Or would it be something new and unfamiliar? Suddenly, he started to feel a bit expectant. Ladies, since we still need to wait for Dr. Banner to sort out his current situation, let's go out and have some fun. My treat. Destination: Riobara Shopping Center. He had originally thought Dr. Banner would need a long time to consider, but he didn't expect that when Yu Xian and the others returned to the hotel in the afternoon, laden with bags, they would see Dr. Banner eagerly waiting for them. Agent Yu Xian, I've decided. I accept your assistance. That's wonderful, Katarina said happily from the side. Without staying any longer, Yu Xian concluded this pleasant trip to Brazil. Team Y and Banner then boarded a private jet to return to the US. Of course, Banner's shock was inevitable during this time. The benefits you agents get are too good, right? You actually have a private jet. Under the persistent efforts of the beautiful flight attendants, Banner gradually succumbed. Doctor, would you like some steak? It's specially prepared by a 3-star Michelin chef. Doctor, you look a bit nervous. Would you like a massage to relax? Doctor, this is our specially mixed cocktail. It can effectively relieve stress. Quote. The private jet landed at Dulles International Airport in New York. Through the porthole, one could see the tension on Dr. Banner's face. He gripped the seat armrests tightly, fine beads of sweat breaking out on his forehead. The heart rate monitor had already jumped to 180. Hey, this trip really was too stimulating. Could it be that he hadn't seen beautiful women for too long? With just a little teasing from them, he couldn't handle it anymore. Banner forced himself to control his emotions, allowing his heart rate to return to normal. Step, step, step. Escorted by the flight crew, Dr. Banner walked down the gangway. Breathing in the familiar air, he looked around, as if he were in a dream. 5 years, 5 whole years of exile, and he had finally stepped onto this land he had missed day and night. I've finally returned, Banner whispered, his eyes flickering with complex emotions. This time, he would not run away again, he had to find a way to resolve his transformations. The sunset in New York draped a golden veil over the skyline, and the glass curtain walls of the distant high-rises reflected an orange-red glow. Banner stood in place with his eyes closed, letting the breeze brush against his face, enjoying this fleeting tranquility. Yu Xian followed closely behind and patted him on the shoulder. Welcome home, Dr. Banner. Thank you. I hope this time we can successfully resolve these troubles. Dr. Banner, handle the subsequent matters according to your own plan. We will all be with you. Okay. As for now, Yu Xian watched the setting sun dipping low and felt the nightlife beckoning to him. Let's find a place to rest first. We'll talk about anything else tomorrow. We're in no rush. I'll treat you to a welcome banquet first, Dr. Banner. As for the hotel, I've already booked it on the plane. Meanwhile, Yu Xian silently calculated. He remembered that in his memory, within the Marvel plot, after Banner escaped from the Brazilian bottling plant, he went through all sorts of hardships before finally arriving in the US. That period took at least half a month. But this time, because of his help, Banner returned to the US many days early, which meant he had another half-month-long mini-vacation to spend. Terrifying detected that the host is feeling happy because of slacking off at work, pleasure points plus 100. Meanwhile, at a US military base, General Ross and Blonsky were having an in-depth conversation after returning to the United States. General, I have carried out many military operations in the past, and I have lost some lovely comrades in arms because of information withheld by those above. But I must obey orders, because this is our profession, this is our mission. But this time, it was truly too bizarre. The two of them, walking through the base, stopped in their tracks. Blonsky stared intensely into General Ross's eyes. That monster is truly terrifying. I cannot just sit by and do nothing. So, General, next time there is a capture operation, you must bring me along, and I suggest that next time you choose some soldiers who can fight a hard battle. Because ordinary soldiers will be scared out of their wits the moment they see that monster. General Ross looked at Blonsky's eyes, which were filled with combativeness and ambition. After a moment of deep thought, he said in a low voice, "Follow me." The armory. Ross led Blonsky to a deserted area. He warned Blonsky, "Remember, what I am about to say is highly sensitive to both me and the military." Without waiting for Blonsky to answer, General Ross began to speak on his own. "You should have heard that we launched a weapons development program, and during World War II, a sub-project called the Biotech Enhancement Project was also launched." Super Soldier Serum? Blonsky asked in return. "Yes, but that is a general term. I restarted this project, and Banner was a researcher in the early stages of the project, conducting radiation-related research, and he was not responsible for the weapons development direction. At that time, because of a major accident, Banner suffered physical abnormalities, but this also meant that we had succeeded." A coldness and ambition unique to a soldier flashed in Ross's eyes. "In my opinion, Banner's body is a valuable asset to our U.S. military." Blonsky interrupted abruptly. "Wait, you said weapons development. Does that mean you have already?" "That's right, we have already developed a super soldier serum." Upon hearing this, Blonsky's eyes lit up instantly. "General, I think I can try." Ross looked at Blonsky opposite him and sensed an ambition in his eyes. In the injection room, General Ross stood with his arms crossed, leaning against a nearby window, watching Blonsky walk out, completely naked. "We are giving you a small dosage of the serum. I need you to remain rational and obey orders, and if any side effects occur, the project will be stopped, and you will need to wait until you have recovered before you can return to the team. Do you agree?" Blonsky looked at the injection chair in front of him. He looked at the injection personnel standing by, ready with the syringe in hand. Without hesitation, he said, "No problem, General." Blonsky took 2 steps in one, walked quickly to the injection chair, and laid his body back. Snap! A piercing white light from the cold, shadowless lamp above Blonsky's head shone down. Under the operation of the staff nearby, his body was quickly and completely secured to the injection chair. "Then, I am starting. The serum will make you feel burning and uncomfortable. This is a normal reaction." The doctor, wearing white gloves, took a fluorescent green liquid agent from a box nearby and installed it on the injection device. "We will inject twice. The second injection will be into the spinal cord, which will be very painful. If you cannot endure the pain, we will stop immediately." Blonsky was full of determination. "Bring it on. Let me see the power of this super soldier serum. Banner, although I lost once. But next time, we will definitely determine a winner." As the metal restraints on the injection chair locked with a click sound, the super soldier serum injection experiment officially began. Preparing to begin the first phase of injection, the medical staff announced while beginning the human injection. The first syringe slowly approached Blonsky's neck. Poof! The moment the slender needle of the syringe pierced the skin of Blonsky's neck, the pain caused his brows to furrow slightly, but he did not make a sound. It was okay, he could still endure it. As the dark green liquid was continuously pushed into his blood vessels, Blonsky's breathing gradually became heavier. A moment later, the first phase ended. There was no pause. "Continue to the second phase, prepare for spinal cord injection." The lead doctor's cold voice appeared again. Hearing this, the 2 medical assistants turned Blonsky's body 180 degrees, clearly exposing his spine. The lead doctor held a syringe that was longer and thinner than the previous one, aiming at the space between his spinal vertebrae. He thrust the needle tip in violently. As the needle pierced the spinal cord, intense pain surged through Blonsky's entire body like a wave. Ah! Unable to bear the pain, he let out bursts of low roars. Blonsky's hands clenched into fists, his knuckles turning white from the force, and the veins on the back of his hands began to bulge like mountain ranges. Pain. Excruciating pain. It hurts like hell. Blonsky's body trembled violently, and the metal restraints were stretched to their limit, making sounds of being unable to bear the strain. Suddenly, a flash of green light appeared in his pupils, and then returned to normal. After 10 full minutes of painful torment, Blonsky's breathing finally slowly calmed down. The muscle lines of his body were more prominent and harder than before the serum injection. Under his skin, it seemed that some kind of energy was slowly flowing along with his blood. Virginia, Culver University. After a night of eating, drinking, and having fun, Yu Xian and his group followed Banner the next day to the place where he used to work, Culver University. Dr. Banner, you must be feeling nostalgic now, right? Yu Xian looked at the complex expression on Banner's face and suddenly spoke. Yes, it's been almost 5 years, and everything here hasn't changed. Still so peaceful and serene. Banner looked at everything familiar around him, and bits and pieces of memories surged out from the depths of his mind. I wonder if she is doing well. Forget it, given my current situation, it is better not to see her. Let's go, I need to enter the laboratory where I used to work to check information related to gamma rays. At the entrance of the laboratory building, Banner looked at the newly added electronic access control system at the entrance, as well as the uniformed, serious-looking security guard standing next to it, and immediately looked conflicted. He remembered very clearly that 5 years ago, there were no such things here, and students and teachers could come and go freely. I didn't expect that after so many years, the school's security measures had actually been built up. There wasn't anything like this before, you could just walk in. What should I do? Banner frowned, lost in deep thought. Dr. Banner, are you having some trouble? Katerina looked at Banner's silent demeanor and couldn't help but ask. I didn't expect that years later, you still need to swipe a card to enter the building. I can't get in. Banner blushed, thinking to himself that it was a bad start. Is that it? Yu Xian leaned lazily against the wall, took out a bag of pistachios, and ate them while peeling, his face clearly saying, piece of cake. At the same time, he sighed inwardly again. As expected, Banner is still Banner. If he and the others weren't here, would this guy have been prepared to go to a coffee shop to work as a delivery guy, delivering pizza to bribe the security guard? Hey, what's so hard about that? Sky's eyes lit up, and she skillfully fiddled with the tablet in her hand. Let big sister Medea handle it, it'll be done in minutes. I could also hack into the system, but magic is faster. Medea nodded at the right moment, indicating it was no problem. Then I'll leave it to you, Ms. Medea. Medea did not hesitate and led the group to an empty corner. With a wave of her fair palm, a short-distance teleportation circle appeared before them. Yu Xian entered first, followed by Banner. Swish, swish, swish. In just a few seconds, the place was empty. At the laboratory entrance, the figures of Yu Xian and the others appeared one after another. Banner looked at the laboratory, which had changed significantly, and memories began to flood back. Pat, pat, Yu Xian patted Banner, who was lost in sentiment. Doctor, now is not the time for memories. Searching for information is the key. At the same time, Yu Xian silently added in his heart, although I already knew long ago that there wouldn't be any information to find inside. Oh, yes, finding the information on gamma rays is the priority. Under the confused gaze of a bespectacled young man inside the laboratory, the 5 of them found a computer and sat down. Banner's fingers tapped rapidly on the keyboard. Tap, tap, tap. He quickly entered and logged in with Betty Ross's account information. Gamma rays. Banner typed these words into the search bar and pressed enter. But unexpectedly, after the search results came out, it showed no results. In disbelief, he entered, Bruce Banner, again, but the result was still nothing. How can this be? The relevant information has already been wiped. Looking at the results in front of him, Banner instantly understood that everything about him had been thoroughly hidden and deleted by them. Didn't find anything? Yu Xian asked, feigning concern for Banner. It seems this path is a dead end. Banner then opened the secret communication and sent a message. Mr. Blue, I cannot access any historical data regarding gamma rays. All records have been erased. Waiting for a few minutes. A piece of text appeared on the screen. Mr. Green, I am sorry to hear that. Without the data, I am powerless. However, I have received the samples you sent, and they are very valuable. If you can obtain the data, I believe we will solve this problem. Data, huh, Banner muttered to himself. Outside the laboratory building, at the same old spot, the 5 of them walked out one after another. Banner looked at the teaching building in the distance, thinking of his ex-girlfriend Betty Ross. Perhaps he still had a chance. She might still have the authorization to access information regarding gamma rays. Moreover, he also really wanted to see her. After several twists and turns, Banner finally found the teaching building where Betty Ross had her class, and began to wait silently under a tree. He looked toward the teaching building, which might hold his last hope of obtaining the data, Betty Ross. The afternoon sun cast an orange-red glow over the gray-white building in front of him, making it look warmer than in Banner's memory. Doctor, are you sure you want to wait for her here? Yu Xian leaned against a maple tree, holding a cup of iced coffee, and asked lazily. I need to see her. She might still have the data from the gamma-ray experiments. Banner replied in a low voice, his eyes never leaving the exit of the teaching building. Sky sat on a bench, typing rapidly on her tablet. Betty Ross, Associate Professor of Biology. She has a cell biology class on Tuesday at 4 p.m. It should be ending soon. You found out such detailed information? Banner asked in surprise. The captain is right. Hacking into the school system is really much easier than hacking into the government system. Sky raised her eyebrows proudly. Medea suddenly whispered a reminder, she's here. Banner turned his head abruptly, looking at the entrance of the teaching building. Students walked out one after another, and he recognized that familiar figure at a glance, Betty Ross, his Betty. She was wearing a simple beige suit, her long brown hair fluttering in the breeze, as beautiful as in his memories. Banner subconsciously took a step forward, but then stopped. A man was walking beside Betty. They were chatting intimately, smiling at each other from time to time. Did Betty get a new boyfriend? Well, it has been years, she should move on with her life. Banner silently stepped back a few paces, hiding behind the tree, silently watching the two of them. He remembered the incident where he accidentally transformed into the Hulk due to the gamma experiment, destroying the lab and accidentally hurting Betty. Perhaps his appearance would shatter her happiness, or even implicate her due to the military's pursuit. He shouldn't have appeared in front of Betty. Yu Xian, leaning against the tree, silently observed Banner's reaction and understood that this guy wanted to retreat again. Hey, how can that be allowed? Looking at Banner's pitiful appearance hiding behind the tree, a cunning smile curled at the corners of Yu Xian's mouth. This doctor's emotional entanglement ends here. He, Yu Xian, cannot stand seeing lovers unable to be together, so it's time for him to make a move. Yu Xian quietly beckoned Medea and Sky to come closer. It seems our doctor needs some assistance. Yu Xian snapped his fingers, signaling Medea to come closer. Medea, can you help create a little accident? Medea raised an eyebrow, a flash of helplessness in her purple eyes. Master is going to toy with other people's feelings again. Yu Xian spread his hands. How can you call it toying? This is called emotional repair. We're doing charity work. Your charity always makes people nervous. Katerina muttered softly. Yu Xian pretended not to hear and clapped his hands. Action starts. Sky, help lure away the man beside Betty. Sky understood, took out her tablet, and tapped a few times. That man is Leonard Sampson, a professor in the biology department next door. Communication handled. His phone will receive an emergency text message. Sure enough, the man beside Betty took out his phone, looked at it for a few seconds, said something to Betty with an urgent expression, and then hurried away. Yu Xian nodded in satisfaction. Medea, step 2. Medea raised her hand and cast magic. A thick branch from the tree Banner was hiding behind suddenly, accidentally, fell, accompanied by a startling cracking sound. Sigma degree. Banner was startled by the sudden turn of events and stumbled, hurriedly dodging, which caused him to be completely exposed in the open space. Betty, in the distance, looked toward the sound, and her gaze happened to meet Banner's. Bruce. Banner stood there, embarrassed. Host's mood detected as joyful, joy points plus 100. Bruce, is that you, Bruce? Betty Ross looked at Banner, who stood awkwardly in the distance, unable to believe her eyes. She could not believe that her beloved had returned so suddenly and appeared right before her. So many years had passed, yet this guy had not changed a bit. Bruce, Betty Ross's joyful voice echoed across the campus. She stood up abruptly from her chair, her teaching materials sliding to the ground as she ran toward Banner, who stood frozen in place. Banner watched the woman rushing toward him, his heart rate accelerating, the longing in his heart erupting and no longer able to be contained. He had originally planned to leave quietly and not disturb her new life, but at this moment, all reason was thrown to the winds. Betty. Banner watched her face drawing closer, his feet moving forward involuntarily as if they had a mind of their own. On the campus lawn, the two were drawn together like magnets, finally embracing tightly. Don't go, Bruce Tilda, Betty murmured, feeling the warmth of his body. The members of Team Y under the tree were watching the two of them with great interest. It seems our assist was very successful. Yu Xian whispered, the power of love is truly great. Medea snorted coldly, Master knows nothing about love, yet enjoys manipulating others' emotions so much. Yu Xian was unfazed. No, how can you call this manipulation? I call this matchmaking. Besides, they were a couple to begin with, I just helped them reunite. And satisfied his own hobby while he was at it. Captain, does this mean we'll get Dr. Banner's gamma radiation experiment data? Yeah, based on what I know of you, you wouldn't do anything useless. Was having Dr. Banner and her meet already part of your plan? Yu Xian heard the questioning from Katerina and Sky, chuckled, and made no response. In the distance, the tightly embracing Banner and Betty finally separated. Betty's eyes were fixed on Banner's, fearing this was a dream. Her voice choked as she asked, where have you been all these years? I thought I would never see you again. I'm sorry, I couldn't contact you. It was too dangerous. Quote. In the middle of the campus lawn, Banner and Betty had gradually calmed down and began to talk in low voices about their respective experiences. After 5 years of separation, they had too much to say and too many stories to share. Banner recounted his years of fleeing to Betty exactly as they happened. Quote. That's how things are, so now. Betty, I really need your help. Banner finally stated the purpose of his visit, I need to retrieve the data from the gamma radiation experiment. Only then can I conduct experimental research and develop a serum to suppress my transformation. Only then can I return to normal. Experimental data. That's no problem. With my clearance, I can definitely access it, Betty said without hesitation. That's great. Banner heard this, and the pressure in his heart dissipated a little. No matter what, once the experimental data was in hand, he could contact Mr. Blue to proceed with the research and development of the suppression serum. Clap, clap, clap. Yu Xian clapped his hands and walked up to them. Congratulations. Doctor. Who is this? Betty looked at the young Asian man with black hair wearing white casual clothes, then turned to Banner. Do you know him? Yes, this guy played a huge part in me being able to return safely. Banner looked at the approaching Yu Xian with a hint of gritted teeth. And if it weren't for this guy who likes to slack off, who knows when the two of them would have been able to meet. Haha, doctor, don't thank me, it's what I should do. Seeming to know what Banner was about to say, Yu Xian blocked him in advance. Doctor, since the timing is right, why don't we get the experimental data as soon as possible? Yes, you're right, we should get the files as soon as possible. Otherwise, Banner looked at his girlfriend, leaving the rest of his sentence unsaid. It's better not to let her know that her father, General Ross, is still hunting him. Military Base, Information Collection Center. General Ross was giving orders to the operators in front of him. Listen up, you must monitor all information regarding Bruce Banner. As soon as there are traces of his phone or credit card being used, pull up the location immediately. Also, continue monitoring Culver University. As long as Banner returns, he will definitely go to check the experimental data. Just then, beep, 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 sounds suddenly appeared. Report General, just now, a record of the Culver University, gamma radiation, experiment data being accessed appeared. Finally found you, move out immediately. In the laboratory, Banner looked at the USB drive containing the experimental data, his excitement overflowing, finally got it. The first step of his treatment had been taken. Behind him, it was up to Mr. Blue. Banner sent the final email to Mr. Blue, online, explaining his idea to meet, and received a specific address and name, New York, Rayburn College, Samuel Stearns. On campus, Yu Xian and the others were walking on the grass. Flap, flap, White Phoenix descended from the sky and slowly landed on Yu Xian's left shoulder. Coo, 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 boss, those guys with guns are here. Yu Xian took a few nuts from his pocket, fed them to White Phoenix, and reached out to stroke its feathers. Well, it was time to find an excuse to leave. His agreement with General Ross was still ongoing, it wasn't time for it to end, and he couldn't make a move yet. It was time to find an excuse to leave. Dr. Banner, I'm afraid we have to take our leave for now. Yu Xian's expression changed subtly as he shrugged and said to Banner, the SHIELD headquarters called, there's some emergency that needs to be handled, it probably has to do with an old friend of yours. Medea looked at Yu Xian, a flash of doubt in her purple eyes, she clearly noticed something. Yu Xian blinked and touched her wrist unobtrusively, secretly transmitting information. But, Katerina frowned, wanting to object, but Sky stepped on her foot. We really have to go. Sky looked at her tablet and made up a lie, there are signs of hackers attacking the SHIELD database. Banner didn't doubt it. At this moment, he was only thinking about the precious USB drive in his hand and the excitement of going to find Mr. Blue. Thank you for your help, I will contact you as soon as possible. Yu Xian smiled and pulled a note with a phone number written on it from his pocket. The situation has changed, we'll keep in touch. The top floor of a high-rise building near Culver University. Yu Xian sat on the edge of the roof, silently observing the ground below. A team of fully armed special forces was silently entering the campus, dispersing and hiding. Leading them were General Ross and Bronsky. Vroom, vroom, vroom. The sound of military motorcycle engines interrupted the tender reunion between Bruce Banner and Betty Ross. Out of the corner of his eye, Bruce Banner caught sight of troops lying in ambush everywhere, and he clearly understood that General Ross had already discovered his act of stealing the experimental data. Betty, there's no time to explain now. They're here, you need to leave, get as far away from me as possible. Bruce Banner didn't wait for Betty's response and, amidst her reluctant gaze, ran toward the teaching building. Bang, bang, bang. In the distance, several armored vehicles pushed out from the parking lot, leaving a trail of destroyed cars in their wake. How could this be? Seeing the army attacking, Betty immediately realized that this was her father, General Ross's, army coming to capture her beloved. Bruce Banner was chased by the army into the teaching building. To ensure the USB drive with the experimental data wouldn't be taken, he fought back his nausea and forcibly swallowed the drive into his stomach. On the other side, Betty intercepted the combat vehicle General Ross was sitting in. Dad, please, let him go, Tilda. General Ross got out of the vehicle, ignored her, and looking at the besieged Bruce Banner in the distance, said into the walkie-talkie in his hand, use tear gas. On the rooftop, the members of Team Y once again turned into spectators. This General Ross has quite the ambition, though I wonder if he'll be able to get what he wants. Sky watched Bruce Banner, who was trapped inside the teaching building and beginning to transform. Master, you don't seem worried at all about your bet with that person. Medea looked at the relaxed-looking Yu Xian, feeling very puzzled. She could sense that among the troops below, there was a person who contained the exact same power within their body as the one called Bruce Banner. Although it was still very weak, looking at their body, there were no issues at all, it was clear that they had already initially fused some power into their body. Of course, you have to know that humans are a very greedy species, their desires will never be satisfied. Once Bruce Banner goes to find Mr. Blue, to complete the drug treatment, the abomination will be born. Soon, it's coming soon. The two Zanpakuto at Yu Xian's waist, Hirinmaru and Ryujin Jaka, trembled slightly, as if to say they couldn't wait to see the power of the abomination. At this moment, the battlefield below had already entered a white-hot stage. Roar! Hulk's roar shook the air, his face was twisted, and his muscles rose and fell like mountain ranges. That massive green body erupted from the teaching building. He punched the nearest armored vehicle, the metal emitting a harsh screeching sound of deformation, and the entire vehicle flew sideways, knocking down 3 soldiers. What exactly does General Ross intend to do with this thing? Does he really have a way to counter this guy? Sky watched the one-sided situation below, puzzled. Just then, Bronsky already rushed toward Hulk from the flank, his movements as agile as a cheetah, his strength surpassing that of an ordinary person. He did a side roll to avoid Hulk's sweep, then leapt up and landed a whip kick on Hulk's abdomen. Blonsky has finally made his move, but unfortunately, he's still lacking a bit. Yu Xian pointed at Blonsky and made a bet with Medea. Medea, guess how long this guy can hold out. If you win, you won't have to cook this week. I'll do it. Medea snorted coldly. HMPH, boring little tricks. General Ross gave orders from a distance. Activate the sonic device, Bronsky, hold him off. Upon hearing this, Bronsky immediately turned and left, running toward the sonic combat vehicle. A few hundred meters away, several specially modified vehicles deployed their devices simultaneously, and energy began to gather. Once Bronsky led Hulk to the designated location, the combat vehicle began to emit a harsh, high-frequency sonic wave. Hum, hum, hum. Hulk instantly covered his ears, the iron plate he was holding dropped, and he roared, shaking his head, clearly affected. No, stop, you'll kill him like this. Betty, who was being restrained beside General Ross, shouted angrily at Ross. And she yelled to Hulk repeatedly, Bruce. Bruce. The sonic attack briefly suppressed Hulk, but Hulk's rage quickly broke through the critical point while under attack. With a sudden, earth-shaking roar, he used the two iron plates on the ground and smashed them fiercely toward the distant combat vehicle. Boom! The massive impact force of the iron plates split the vehicle in two, causing it to explode instantly, and a beam of fire shot up into the sky. With the restraint gone, Hulk leapt up with his whole body, jumped onto the second sonic cannon vehicle, and destroyed it with a single punch. Is that it? Seeing this, Bronsky fired a magazine of bullets at Hulk from a distance, then walked up to him alone, locking eyes with him. He ignored General Ross's retreat command in his earpiece. Hulk looked at Blonsky, who was provoking him, and without a word, lifted his leg and kicked. Bang! Bronsky was instantly kicked away like a soccer ball, bouncing 3 times on the ground before hitting a tree and stopping, his entire body already unrecognizable. Bruce. Betty broke free from the soldiers' restraints and ran to Hulk. The roar of helicopter rotors, arriving late, came from the distant sky. An armed helicopter dove down from the clouds, strafing Hulk with its machine gun. Hulk shielded Betty, the bullets sparking off his green skin but unable to truly harm him. When the helicopter prepared for a second round of strafing, Hulk pulled and swung the other iron plate in his hand with force, smashing it directly into the helicopter. Boom! A massive explosion bloomed in the air, the firelight illuminating the entire campus. The flames from the helicopter explosion instantly burned toward Betty on the ground. No! General Ross shouted in despair. When the flames dissipated, in the thick smoke, the figure of Hulk holding the unconscious Betty appeared. General Ross stared fixedly at Hulk's green eyes, watching helplessly as Hulk picked up the heavily injured and unconscious Betty and disappeared into the darkness. On the high building, Yu Xian clapped his hands and stood up from the edge. The wonderful performance is over. Pack up, it's our turn to make an appearance. On a rainy night, far from the town, Hulk carried the unconscious Betty and moved forward through the dense forest. Rainwater hit his green skin and slid off, the ground underfoot muddy and treacherous. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks, seeing 4 figures in black raincoats appear in the woods ahead. Yu Xian stood at the front, with Katerina, Medea, and Sky by his side. Yu Xian peeled an orange in his hand, put it in his mouth, and looked at Hulk in front of him, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. Good evening, Mr. Green. Hand over the woman in your arms. Hulk, you wouldn't want to leave Ms. Betty exposed in the wild all night in this storm, would you? Yu Xian's calm voice pierced through the curtain of rain. He leisurely finished off the orange in his hand, as rainwater dripped down the brim of his black raincoat. Roar tilde. Hulk let out a low growl, which wasn't entirely anger, but more of a warning. His massive body crouched slightly, shielding Betty in his arms even tighter. His giant green arms were knotted with muscle as he watched the figures before him warily. He certainly knew that things couldn't go on like this. Betty needed warmth. She needed medical treatment. Listen, she is very weak right now. Yu Xian took a step forward, pressing on, and tossed away the orange peel. She desperately needs professional medical care and a comfortable environment right now. Hulk looked down at Betty's furrowed brow as she lay unconscious from her serious injuries, making a whimpering sound. After a moment of silence, fine, Hulk's voice, like a broken engine, rumbled from his throat, the sound waves shaking the leaves and sending rainwater cascading down. He clearly recognized these people. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But, those were people Banner knew, not people Hulk accepted. Hulk's trust could only be earned with fists and proven with strength. Hulk carefully placed Betty under a large tree nearby, ensuring the branches and leaves could shield her from the rain. He took one last deep look at Betty, then turned to face the group. Roar Tilda! Another earth-shattering roar followed, this time filled with undisguised fighting spirit. The raindrops seemed intimidated by this terrifying aura, freezing in midair, refusing to fall. The next second, Hulk's massive green body shot forward like a cannonball, carrying an incredibly violent momentum straight toward Yu Xian and the others. It seems you won't give up without a fight. Yu Xian narrowed his eyes slightly, focusing on Hulk's rapidly approaching body, and quickly drew the two Zanpakuto at his waist. Katarina, take care of Betty Ross. Hulk really was simple-minded, leaving a patient unattended on the side. However, ever since activating the slacking system, he hadn't stretched his limbs properly in too long. That time with the Ironmonger, he hadn't been able to fight to his heart's content because he was just a normal person back then. This time would be perfect as a warm-up for future intense battles. Detected that host's desire to fight has increased and mood is pleasant, pleasure points plus 50. Hulk's fist, like a small meteorite, carrying enough force to crush solid concrete, smashed instantly into the two swords Yu Xian had crossed in defense. Boom! A massive shockwave instantly dispersed the rain around them, creating a vacuum zone. The ground at their point of contact cracked layer by layer, spreading outward like a spider web. The surrounding trees swayed back and forth from the powerful blast of air, and countless leaves and branches were shaken off. Crack, 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 several small pine trees in the distance were even snapped in half. Medea, having reached Betty, felt a flash of surprise. She knew her master was extraordinary, but going head-to-head with such a monster still far exceeded her expectations. After all, she had been the one handling the work for Yu Xian during this time. This lazy guy had barely made a move, and she still hadn't clearly realized where the limits of this man's strength lay. Water barrier. Medea waved her delicate hand, instantly forming a translucent blue barrier around Betty to prevent the aftermath of the battle from affecting her, and incidentally creating a shelter from the rain for themselves. Inside the barrier, Sky looked at Yu Xian holding his two swords. Having never seen Yu Xian fight before, she wore an expression of astonishment. What's going on? Isn't the captain known as the Lord of Winter? Shouldn't his ability be ice? Why would he use his relatively weaker physical body to clash head-on with Hulk's steel-like frame? From their previous chats, she knew clearly that Hulk's strength lay in his monstrous physique. The hacker girl watched the two clashing repeatedly, and as the captain gradually fell into a disadvantage, her confusion deepened. Hey, who knows what bad idea the captain is cooking up again? As the one who joined the team the earliest and had the most seniority, Katarina knew too well that this black-hearted guy Yu Xian would never do anything without a reason. He must have his own purpose for doing this. If Yu Xian knew his little schemes had been seen through by the chief steward, he would definitely give the girl a thumbs up. Girl, you are absolutely right. If he were just fighting Hulk, it would be meaningless. Even if it were a friendly spar, he should stop at the right moment. He shouldn't incite Hulk's anger, as that could easily spiral out of control. But since there was such a good opportunity, he could just test out the combo technique he had recently come up with. Hulk, this giant human meat shield, was perfect, durable and tough. Bang! Yu Xian was forced back over 10 steps by a powerful punch from Hulk, his feet plowing 2 deep furrows into the muddy ground, and he finally stopped only after snapping a large tree. His arms were numb from bearing the immense force, and the Zanpakuto in his hands were humming. Yu Xian looked at the web of his hand, which was dripping blood, and the slowly healing wounds, unable to help but lick his lips in excitement. That's right, this is the feeling. As expected, for him right now, trying to rely on his physical body to confront a monster of Hulk's level was still a bit lacking. The physical enhancement brought by the 2-star Platinum, while powerful, still couldn't fully bridge the gap with Hulk. However, fortunately, he still had the monstrous self-healing ability of Wolverine. Yu Xian could feel the bodily damage caused by the confrontation of their powerful physical strength rapidly recovering under the Wolverine skill. Interesting, but weaker than I imagined. It seems Hulk's rage levels had been exhausted in the previous battle with the army. The current Hulk was in Saint mode. Yu Xian shook his numb arms to relieve the paralysis, rainwater dripping from his hair. His raincoat had been completely torn, leaving his upper body bare, revealing the muscular and powerful abdominal muscles beneath. A long-lost fighting flame ignited in his eyes. I like this feeling. Roar tilde. Hulk's thick legs suddenly exerted force, pushing off, and the moment the ground within a 5-meter radius collapsed, his entire body launched into the air to attack Yu Xian. Shikai, everything in the universe, turned to ashes, Ryujin Jaka. Bankai, Daiguren Hirenmaru. As the two Zanpakuto were released, both blades, one blue and one red, simultaneously erupted with dazzling light. The Ryujin Jaka in his right hand instantly transformed into a long blade wreathed in crimson flames, the blade dancing like a burning tongue of fire. The Hirenmaru in his left hand rapidly extended, the originally ordinary katana instantly transformed, its blade glowing with a cyan blue cold light. A delicate silver chain extended from the hilt, with a crescent-shaped ice blue pendant hanging at the end, swaying gently with the wind and rain. The two diametrically opposed elemental powers intertwined and merged in the rainy night, forming a pillar of light that shot into the sky, the radiance of fire and ice illuminating the entire forest. Raindrops were frozen into ice crystals in midair, only to be instantly vaporized into nothingness by the searing heat wave, generating and spreading vast swaths of mist. Is this the power of the Lord of Winter? The dazzling light illuminated Sky's expression of astonishment. Having just entered the supernatural world, she still retained the mindset of an ordinary person, believing that even superpowers should have certain limits. But the scene before her deeply refreshed her perception. She hadn't expected that Yu Xian, who was always laughing and playing around and slacking off with her, hid such immense energy within his body. Whoosh tilde whoosh tilde whoosh tilde. The extreme temperature difference between hot and cold intensified the airflow, and the wind began to pick up at the battleground. A flash of purple light flickered in Medea's purple pupils. The strong wind blew her hood down, revealing her exquisite face. Although she appeared calm, her heart was already churning with turbulent waves. So, this is his strength. To think that this lazy guy, who bossed her around all day, making her do this and that, was actually this powerful. A complex emotion welled up in Medea's heart. It was the fear of being abandoned, the worry that her value as an existence would be denied. It was the despair of remembering how she was betrayed by the one she loved, how she killed her kin and her children, losing everything. It was the madness after being dubbed the Witch of Betrayal. Was she needed? Medea looked at the man in front of her, who shone like light, and unconsciously bit her lip until it bled. I knew it. The captain is trying to pull off something big. It seems this team can't function without me. This guy is just too much trouble. Behind Katerina, the crazy diamond stand slowly emerged, and she set down the case containing the Valkyrie. The blonde girl was already prepared for the cleanup work after the big battle. In the US, the atmospheric administration was in total chaos. BZZ, BZZ, BZZ. Red warnings blared incessantly on the monitor's computer. It's bad, Director. Something terrible has happened. A strong signal has appeared northwest of New York. It's a precursor to a tornado. What? A tornado? Did you sneak a drink again? I told you not to drink. Do you not want to keep your job? No, Director, look for yourself. The director immediately pushed aside the person in front of him and fixed his gaze on the red warning light on the computer. He saw that the tornado warning threshold at the red alert was rapidly approaching the critical point. No, this is bad. Something big is going to happen. At the battle site, Hulk felt the power of extreme ice and fire. His anger began to surge, and power welled up continuously. Then, please receive my technique. Eternal Wheel Dance. Eternal Wheel Dance was Yu Xian using Hirenmaru to summon Hyatt and Hayakuso to rain down ice flowers, while simultaneously activating Ryujin Jaka for fire rain. The ice flowers and fire rain intertwined and fell to attack the enemy. It forced the enemy's body to cycle continuously between extreme cold and extreme heat, until they shattered like broken glass, crumbling to the ground. Snowflakes and fire rain began to fall from the sky. Strangely, the strong wind did not affect them. The snowflakes and fire rain seemed to be projections from another world, completely unaffected. Sizzle. The fire rain landed on Hulk, making him wince in pain. Before he could extinguish the flames on his body, the ice and snow descended. Crack, crack, crack. Layers of ice crystals froze every inch of Hulk's body. Hulk was engulfed by Eternal Wheel Dance, his skin switching repeatedly between extreme heat and extreme cold. Roar. The pain of the scorching fire on his skin was frozen by the extreme cold, only for him to feel the scorching heat again the moment the ice melted. This repetitive torture stimulated the deeper rage within him. Every instance of pain was like adding fuel to the fire, intensifying the berserk factors within him. Roar! With his rage ignited and his power surging, Hulk withstood the attacks and began to forcefully charge through the range of Yu Xian's technique. As for dodging, it was useless. The ice and fire rain were both controlled by Yu Xian. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, in the short distance of a few dozen meters, Hulk endured and forced his way through, step by step. He truly lived up to his reputation as the god of physical combat. He could really take a beating. Roar! Covered in wounds, Hulk let out a roar, exhausted all his strength, and charged at Yu Xian like a cannonball to deliver one final blow. Seeing this, Yu Xian abandoned the use of his Zanpakuto and instead lunged forward, throwing a punch to show respect to the heroic warrior. Stand ability star platinum activated at full power. The two attacks met in midair, boom. After a loud bang, both of them were sent flying backward. A vacuum circle with a diameter of 100 meters formed in the center of the forest. All the trees were broken, and the ground sank several meters, forming a huge ring-shaped crater. Rainwater curved and evaporated around the two, creating a strange visual effect. Yu Xian knelt on one knee. His right arm was bloody, clearly bent and torn, with white bones visible inside. Wolverine regeneration ability was slowly healing and recovering it. Hulk also stumbled backward, his green skin covered in traces of freezing and burning. The two stood 50 meters apart, panting as they confronted each other. Hee, big guy, are we still fighting? Yu Xian endured the pain, looking happily at Hulk, who had re-entered his calm state. You, strong, I admit it. Hulk looked at Yu Xian with clear eyes, acknowledging this formidable guy from the bottom of his heart. Hearing this, Yu Xian let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, it didn't go wrong. He had taken advantage of the young hero while he was still weak. If it were a few years later during the Avengers era, or even after Hulk had traveled to other planets, his combat power would not be comparable to what it was now. Right now, he was at best a beast with brute force but no technique. Kamar Taj, Sorcerer Supreme Ji Yi stepped out of the soul world. Suddenly, she felt a strange power appear in the world, only to dissipate quickly. Sorcerer Ancient One frowned. This is, from the direction of the U.S. At this moment, the time stone in Sorcerer Ancient One's possession showed signs of disturbance. Has the fate of someone with a high weight in the world been rewritten? Sorcerer Ancient One looked at the glowing green time stone in front of her and fell into deep thought. Director, the tornado warning has disappeared. The tornado warning has disappeared. What? That's great. The crisis is resolved. The director of the atmospheric administration wiped the sweat from his forehead caused by the mugginess. However, what exactly caused this abnormal weather phenomenon? The machines wouldn't make a mistake. Something must have happened in the forest to the northwest. Perhaps we should send someone to take a look. Is it over? The hacker girl, Sky, gently patted her full chest, feeling a lingering fear. Goodness, what had she just seen? In front of the hacker girl, there appeared a crater nearly 300 meters in diameter and 2 meters deep. It was as if a small meteorite had struck Earth, with flames burning everywhere inside. In the center of the crater, Yu Xian and Hulk jumped out amidst a humble and friendly atmosphere of, "You're amazing, no, you're amazing." Yu Xian's body had already recovered, and he strapped his Zanpakuto back onto his waist. He looked at everyone in front of him and waved his hand. Since there's nothing left to do, let's pack up camp and head home. Medea, I want to eat your cooking. I'm hungry. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood after the battle. Pleasure points plus 100.
Thanks for watching my video. Please like and share it.